My name is Gary Butterfield, he, him.
My name is Kay Ross, she, her.
And we're just recording a little wrapper thing in case you're wondering why this is on your feed or the news didn't reach you. As we're recording this last week, we lost Jeremy Greer, one of our friends who we met through our shows, through Bonfireside Chat, and who was a host on the network and everything. And we thought people, one of the things about Jeremy is, in addition to being a close friend, he was great.
Yeah.
He was really good on podcasts, very funny, very insightful, plugged up a lot of holes in our knowledge base.
Yes.
And stuff. So we thought, and he, I wrote a big thing on Patreon about this, but one of the things about Jeremy is he loved podcasts.
Yep.
He absolutely loved this medium. He did as many as we do, and he's only one person.
Yep.
So we thought we would rerun the Jeremy files, I guess.
Yeah.
Not to be confused with non-human biologics. So these are the Jeremy appearances. If you want to listen to kind of a chronology of him being on the shows,
yeah,
and revisit those appearances,
yeah, just go back, listen to him being great. Wanted to do this in remembrance.
Yeah, he cared about having his podcast stuff around.
Yep.
After he passed, so we're doing our part for his Duckfeed appearances here, I guess.
Yes.
And in case anybody wanted to listen back, save you the trouble of having to search through the archives.
Yeah, yeah. So
give a listen.
These will be hitting the feed. I don't know if it's going to be all at once or kind of all in rapid succession. But yeah, just that is why you're seeing this stuff.
Yeah, and if you're not interested in that and everything, that's fine. Mm-hmm. Just ignore them as a thing. But if you are, here they are. And yeah.
Some of our landings were desperate adventures. We are now prepared to meet the inevitable counterattacks with power and with confidence.
Do you not see? I was trying to usher in a better world.
And you will. However, not as you had hoped.
My name is Gary Butterfield.
My name is Cole Ross.
And my name is Jeremy Greer.
And you're listening to Bonfireside Chat. It is an immortal favorite.
And this week we are concluding our discussion of the game Immortal Unchained. Welcome back, Jeremy.
I'm back.
Yeah.
I love this place. I love the new looks, and I love the new art on the walls. And I love that I'm being able to cement my position as the person that has guested the most on Bonfireside Chat. So I don't know what you guys are doing next, but I'll try to finagle my way in there too. Don't worry.
Insinuate.
Still be Ms. Hornan on your territory. Gotta watch out. He's got the blue shell coming up. People, astute listeners, will know that we originally just said we were going to have a guest for the final wrap-up episode. This is not our final wrap-up episode. We decided to have bonus Jeremy.
Yes. Just why not?
Plenty of me to go around.
Yeah.
I mean, I can spread myself on this podcast cracker just so much.
Podcast of the crackers. Yeah. The spread with a Jeremy Schmear. Jeremy Schmear with a couple of crackers. It is a breakfast treat.
Yeah.
Oh boy. It's good to have you on to actually talk about the end stuff, though, because I figure during the next episode we'd probably talk about that stuff in the wrap up, and this way we can get you in on the first pass.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited. I've been listening along with you guys since you relaunched Bonfireside Chat, and it's been very, very enjoyable talking about this game that is kind of near and dear to my heart now. Like it's a good game, even though it has some weird issues to it. So I'm glad that you guys are enjoying it. When I originally suggested this for WAF, I was hesitant to do so because it was a little difficult and it was a little rough around the edges. So I'm very, very happy to know that both of you are enjoying it. So.
Yeah, I really appreciate you bringing this to our attention. This is great. I like this game quite a bit.
And I've hence been Daughter of Ashed, so nothing is difficult anymore. Right. I now know the exact marker in which I quit a game, and it's not this.
Right.
So this is pretty comparatively smooth sailing.
But puts things in perspective.
Yeah. Let's start here with we're doing all the second kind of sets from the levels. We're gonna do the back half of the Apex Citadel with the Legislative Archives. Hey kids,
Hi.
are you ready for some exciting video game lands? Like there's the Snow Fortress and Bowser's Castle and the Legislative Archives.
Yeah. The pit of jurisprudence.
Yeah, we're gonna fight the short-tempered comptroller at the end of it.
You need to have 4 forms of ID, or we're not letting you unchained anymore. 4 forms.
Yeah. When you beat this level, your character actually becomes the chairperson of the water district,
and the player is notarized.
Mm-hmm.
So by beating this level, the player actually becomes notarized in their hometown.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
So that $60 a month payment for being the chairman of the water district is untaxable. So that's really good. If you beat this level, you get a lot of benefits.
Well, I mean, just the real hustles in the graft,
Yeah.
Cole, I'm in the water business. I know all about it.
Yeah. Just people cannot resist you when you have the power of a water district chairperson,
It's very true.
Yeah.
It is very that everyone needs it to live.
Yeah.
And if you're not going to take advantage of that, you're leaving money on the table.
That's
don't leave water on the table.
Yeah. So in a way, they're like gods that walk among us.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And like immortals. And they've been changed.
Yeah. So segue back to the task at hand. No, last episode we did the kind of the other two main spokes, right? We went to the Abyss and we fought the Queen of the Dead. We went to Arlen and we fought Arlen.
Yeah. And now we're in the archives.
Yeah. Now we're in the archives going after Malog.
Yep. This one's pretty easy to get to. This is near the the bonfire right before the boss of Skypath.
Yes.
So unlike the one in Viridian, this one's actually fairly easy to get to. And it's just these doors will now open. And once you get in, the whole citadel is shaken by this very angry roar, which, as we will talk about in quite a bit once we get there, is a little bit of a letdown.
Yes.
This is not tough as a boss. Like the area is actually hard as hell, but the boss is probably the easiest boss in the game.
Yeah.
Other than Old Carl.
The only reason that I am not flying off the handle at how difficult this spoke is because of how difficult the end is.
Yeah. This is difficult for sure.
Right. But it's real cool to get a chance to see how the Prime lived. It is very strange to see like comfortable sofas in a Souls-like.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Aldia never sat down.
No.
So.
I have an issue with the lights in this area because I have like fancy smart lights in my house and some of them have motion sensors. So like when I walk into my office, the lamp turns on. I don't have to do anything. But this area, the Legislative Archives, seems to have those that make a giant noise every time you walk in, which I think is just terrible design, right? Like it's just the worst.
Yeah. So it's how you know they're working.
They're also like weird 3D globe puzzles that come apart too. Like they're like I just imagine smacking my head on those a lot.
Yeah.
As I walk in, one of them expanding and knocking me in the noggin.
Just constantly knocking beverages out of my hand. Ah, dang it.
Damn it, life in the Skypath ain't so good.
When I first saw those, I thought they were turrets.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, they do look nasty. Are they going to be like Tesla coils or something like that?
Yeah, something like that. I don't know. It moves. It moves in a video game, so I have to assume it'll hurt me.
Mm-hmm.
The noise does contribute to like a constant level of tension because you never know if like is that an enemy over there and then once you get used to it, like they introduce you to like a bunch of dudes that shoot stuff at you at the same time, so now you're just fucked. Like I just kept spinning the camera in a circle trying to figure out what was going on.
Yeah, well, just you hear that sound coming out of nowhere, you think it's one of these teleporting sticky grenade angels that pops in.
Yep, teleporting sticky grenade angel.
Yeah, it's
the sequel to Tank Girl. So so these are we've had teleporting guys with these kind of neon wings before, these Dan Flavin wings, but these ones shoot a sticky grenade at you, and I actually like the way these are to fight quite a bit as far as the teleporting enemies, because once a grenade is on you, the grenade is on you, but you can iframe through the explosion if you roll at the right time, which makes no sense at all, but is really satisfying to get the timing of. Like
it's very video gamey, and I love it.
Yeah,
it's so fun.
It's like they designed that in because as it's about to explode, like as it's counting down, it makes a noise, like it gets higher and higher pitched. So like it is letting you know, like, all right, 3, 2, 1, go.
Yep.
Yeah.
Getting that timing is very fun.
Yeah.
Once you get back through a couple of these, they kind of preview this enemy. There's this new enemy. You get to this lobby that is your first big combat arena in here, which has this mezzanine stairway above it, with where guys have kind of elevation on you to shoot you, including guys with shields. So they are difficult to attack, and several of these teleporting dudes as well to complicate the mix.
Yeah. So eventually, like if you didn't figure it out on Skypath, here the trick to these warpy boys is the fact that they kind of just will always pop in at a certain place. So you need to make sure to, for me, it was important to know where not to run to not make one pop in. Yeah. Take
it very slow.
Yep.
Yeah.
So at least at the very least you have one pop in at a time.
I think this is the area that finally broke my reticence to use items or to not use items. Like I feel like this is the first time, and the area like right between Cinderwoods and Bagor as well, where I was like, okay, I'm just going to use the stupid small ammo pack. I just need it. I know I have 60 of them, but I need one of them, and they're mine.
I can't believe you saved it for that long.
Yeah.
Because I really kind of rode the lightning on those things, mostly because once I got my Lone Guard, which was my big sniper rifle I used for most of the game, that had such low ammo. And if I ever, it would still kind of, even with the thing that gave me a bullet back after I killed a guy, I would still lose it slowly through attrition. So I ended up being actually really low on ammo throughout this whole area, and didn't really get a stockpile again until they start loading you up in the last area, where I got more of the large packs.
My second run through here was a sniper rifle, and I definitely, I think I ended that game with like maybe 2 small ammo packs on me. Like I chewed through those, but on my first run, especially at the time, the automatic shotguns had so much ammo that I felt like I could run through it. But this area was finally the spot where I was like, fuck it, I got to do it. I'm going to use an item.
But like of the different kind of, outer spokes, this is the one that is so long, and the runs between the obelisks are so long, even compared to like the Abyss, which felt like a little bit much. Yeah, I was riding those ammo packs specifically. And eventually, like when you get to the Senate, when your bill is passed forward to the Senate, just like
I'm just a bill. Yes, I'm just a bill.
Yeah. No, I did I would start using like patches and stuff. So I never used any of the patches before, but yeah, no, I was like crusty with the nicotine patches by the end of this. There's an inch of exposed skin here. Patch me up, buddy.
I never found the patches very useful, but I would have used them here because I also agree that this is a very long, difficult area. Just kind of generally, like we'll get back to the specific encounters, but this area is a real test. Like, it goes on for a very long time, and there are a lot of, it's kind of interesting the way that it is an extension of the Skypath, which was your first area where you were dealing meaningfully with, a lot of snipers, with the teleporting snipers. But the nice thing about the Skypath is that a lot of the levels were, stairways like built around columns. That outdoor area. So cover was actually not that hard to find. There are a lot of waist-high walls and stuff. Here, once you get to the second half of this, it's lots of long hallways with 2 levels, like an elevated kind of mezzanine level. And snipers, which they're not the teleporting snipers, they're the shield snipers, become a real problem here. And it is just made for them to have a bead on you from a huge distance and just kind of outdistance you, outrange you. And it just is very, very, you deal with that for a long time in this level. Probably a little too long. Like, I like this game a lot. The end game, I think, does pushes some of my goodwill. Not this area I still like. The next area I think is awful. Yeah. There's a couple things I really don't like in this. I think this is good. I just wish it was a little bit shorter. I feel like through this whole area generally, like they expressed their ideas early on and then did not express new ones for a little bit.
Yeah, I got so tired of the combination shield guy sniper dude with like 4 melee dudes around him.
Yep.
Or not melee dude, the like frost rocket guy. Like the combination of those two dudes would be like, oh, I have done this like 8 times so far, so I guess I'm going to have to do it exactly the same over again. And then if I die, I have to do it like 4 times to get back over here to get my bits.
You guys have how much HP?
Yep.
Oh, too much? All right. I guess we're just gonna go, aren't we?
The frustrating thing too is it's like those setups are interesting, but they repeat them too often. The big guys, the frost rocket guys, they end up really enjoying fighting them in groups of 1 or 2, because it is this like real fun race to get to their back. And they would die in 1 bullet if I could snipe them in the back. So it was fun. If I had a line on them, I could take advantage of that. Otherwise, I had to kind of dodge, Saving Private Ryan my way through their fire to get to them to jump to their back. And it was really fun. But the mix-up that they do when they combine them is very difficult and just happens too many times. I agree. I've just been tested too many times on this.
Yeah.
After you get through this first lobby thing, you get up this mezzanine and you speak across a broken bridge to Nero, the weird little bot friend. I'm glad to see that you did not manage to do this quest either, because I also did not. And I just went the wrong way. Like he says, hey, I need you to help me quickly. I don't have very much time. And we get to a fork. And if you go the wrong fork, you do not get to come back later and help him.
No,
it is too late. And I just went the wrong fork to try to get to him.
Yeah,
so I do not actually know what happens if you save this guy.
Yep, all I did was find his corpse.
Jeremy?
Yeah, Jeremy, tell us.
So
did you save him?
First run? Yeah, I saved him here, and then progressively throughout this level, there's going to be a series of chains that a little boy begs you to break, and I was like, yeah, that sounds good. Like, let's break the chains, and that's how you fail his quest. But if you I ended up only breaking 2 out of the 3 of them, but that still fails his quest, and he shows up as dead and outside of the boss door. But my second run, I actually managed to complete it, and he showed up back at Firelink, and he gave me like a cool thing, so I could open a previously closed door in Viridian, and I could get like an epic shot grenade launcher. Like there's cool stuff if you manage to do it. It's very unforgiving though. Like if you don't get him here and you break, I think 2 out of the 3 chains, you're fucked. Like you don't get to progress that quest anymore. So.
Hey, it's weird. It's kind of weird because I only broke 1 chain, but I still had him die, so I don't know what happened. Like I don't know, I don't know exactly what happened to my thing with that.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I just kind of found his corpse right where I first saw him. So his story, like he was the king of this place. He was the Odin, I believe, of this story in the kind of the Norse equivalency that it's drawing. And he's kind of bemoaning how far Apex Citadel has fallen and how much he has diminished. Like what's the completion of his emotional arc? Like what does he get by getting to the boss door for Malog and then going back to Firelink?
Like 3 lines of dialogue that I don't remember offhand.
well, you probably couldn't hear him.
It's not like it wasn't. I didn't find it overly impactful. Like my favorite NPC in this game is the one whose name I just forgotten, the chick that you find in the very first NPC that you find, like
Bren.
all her dialogue and stuff, it seemed very emotional and interesting. Narrows was just kind of like, okay, so you're like a robot king guy, and okay, sure. Like I didn't quite get what was going on there, and I think a lot of it was by the time I got here, I was so overwhelmed in lore that I kind of stopped just taking any of it in. Right, like you find all those lore items, and I was trying to stay on top of it like a good Souls person and try to figure out what's going on, and then there were just so many of them, and I realized that I was missing so many that I just gave up and kind of just went through the game.
Yeah, the woman NPC is named Bren.
Thank you.
Yes. Just for
yes, I sadly did not get Nero's story.
Yeah.
King Nero died, and I was kind of in the same place too, as far as being a little bit over like reading every lore note fastidiously. So agree. You kind of continue past some stairways, if you don't go towards Nero, to a couple other like similar lobby areas, like different like little mezzanine things are kind of set up with the same biome. A lot of times with staircases, a lot of times teleporters will ambush on staircases. There's quite a few things where somebody will be positioned at your back once you get to the top of the stairwell. So tricky, and here is like before they really start overusing or reusing encounters. I feel like this is still pretty good.
Yeah. And this is where they're continuing the trend of bringing bosses back as regular enemies here. So we get like the flag bearing ones that we'd like we saw outside of the factory on Apexian, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But this whole area kind of ended up being a little bit just a little bit chewy for me. Like I didn't notice an awful lot in terms of like distinction between the different areas or encounters.
Yeah, up until we get to the long hallway section.
Yes.
Really. This part felt like it was pretty similar.
Yeah.
Going through that. We also get these smaller guys who are kind of flimsy, but they have rocket launchers.
Yeah.
As well. To avoid, who kind of, and they're again mix-ups.
Yes.
There is a warp here, which takes you over to the cauldrons, which is good to jump into just because they make a checkpoint, as we mentioned before. And this area is kind of low on shrines, or obelisks, rather.
Yeah.
So that's how I found this area for the first time.
Oh, you came over from the...
I came over from the cauldron. So like up until this point, like the Apex Citadel had been kind of city-ish. And then pretty much everything else was like ice level, prison, jungle, whatever. So I come in here and you get the text on the screen that says legislative archives, and like lights start popping up out of the ground. And I'm almost like, what the fuck is this game? Where am I? And what is going on? And I spent, and this was before I killed any of the Lord Souls. And I spent a large amount of time trying to, because I thought this was not progression, but I was like, oh, they wouldn't put this here if it wasn't like a bonus thing for me to do. And like I started running up on these enemies and really trying to throw myself at them, and just like got shut down completely. It took me to come back way later with much better gear to get through it.
Have either of you guys watched a speedrun of this yet to see like how those are used in a speedrun? Are people speedrunning this yet meaningfully?
There's like 4 or 5 people. I'm on the Discord for the game, and there's a few people that are there, but I think he is still doing unpatched speedrunning. So there's all kinds of glitches and weird stuff that you can do with unpatched speedrunning. Like I don't know that anybody is still doing an all bosses speedrun right now, because the game just doesn't have a lot of like support. I know somebody ran it at some charity event recently because they were promoting that, but I didn't get a chance to actually watch the video.
Yeah.
Yeah, just curious.
Yeah, I would like to hear the rationale, behind like which is the best starting place, because you eventually have to get to the end of all of these.
I think from what I know, that Silver Spear is God. So like it's a straight line to the Silver Spear to get, because that's one of the earliest and most powerful weapons you can get in the game. So everyone goes to Iska first, and then from there, I don't know for sure.
Yeah.
Well, it's a really interesting structure having those shortcuts between areas, because it's the 3 final areas of the game, and the endings are mandatory, but the beginnings are optional. Mm-hmm. And I haven't seen that very often in video games. Like you can skip the beginning of a lot of levels in this game.
Yeah.
Never the end, but the beginning of which. Like you can spend you don't have to go through the Burning Viridian at all.
Right.
You can just skip that entirely. Like it's kind of interesting to take the early parts of the spokes and make them skippable. It's like a warp zone kind of feel to it.
Okay, so take those awesome iconic diagrams of the world structure of Dark Souls 1, 2, and 3, and then for Immortal Unchained, it's just a picture of Rayman. Yeah, no arms, no legs, all fun.
After you get through a few more of these kind of mezzanine things and this combat hallway, which you move through, again overgrown, like plants are growing here, where they're doing that thing where rocket launchers and snipers have this line of sight on you. You eventually actually get to an obelisk, one that has an armor shrine as well, which is really phenomenal, and it's going to be a while before you get to the next one as well.
Yeah, you're going to have to go through pretty much the entire next zone, the Outlook Promenade.
This before we leave this obelisk, I believe this is the chest that you get the Odin's Crusher in, the epic auto shotgun that Patty from Twin Humanities referred to as the Master Key, because it unlocks so much of the game for him. And this gun is like one of my favorite guns in the game, if not my favorite. Like that first run after getting this and leveling it up, I felt unstoppable, which felt really, really good.
Is it Odin? I think it's called the Senate Crusher, because that's the one I ended up using. If it's the epic auto shotgun you get in this area, it's called Council Crusher.
Yeah,
Okay.
there's
I wish
that
it was
one, and then there's like
Councilman
Odin's hammer or something.
Oh.
There's another Odin one. Or,
There's
not
another
Odin,
one. Too.
Orin,
Okay.
Orin's
Orin.
Crusher or something. Maybe I have that wrong.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I got Council Crusher here, which is very good, but
Yeah.
I could be right. I thought it was right here, but I don't quite remember.
Yeah, I can't recall. I ran out of shotgun, so I'm sure I got it.
Oh, you must rescue the hunter side quest and acquire the hunter's key to open the door, which neither of you guys did. So you guys didn't save Orin, so you didn't get the key to get Orin's gun. So sorry about that. Yeah, that's so you got double fucked.
Well, you know.
But it's funny that my constellation was called the Council Crusher.
I think you get the Council Crusher. That's the shielded auto shotgun that you get for beating Malog.
Yeah. That was very good. That's the one I was thinking of with this, and that's very good. That would end up being my end game auto shotgun. But perhaps
I just love the idea of these guns that have shields on them, like they were like motorcycle windshields.
I think that has some kind of basis in history.
Oh.
I think I remember seeing like a World War II gun that had something like that attached to it. I could be wrong about that. Some absolute nerd will let us know. Some total war nerd, weapon gun nut nerd will definitely let us know. The Outlook Promenade, this door leads out into this kind of new area, which is balconies, walkways, this rainy area.
Yeah, you're
It's
outside. You're outside, and there are hexagons on the floor. It's neat.
Yep, the hexagons look great. And there are these statues of the Prime that kind of go through, and also bust of Primes.
Yeah, so they're busts, but I think they're of Andros. They're like low poly in a really cool, aesthetically pleasing way. Into it.
Yep.
I will say that after being kind of trapped indoors for so long, that coming out to here and like back into the main Apex level where it's like raining and lightning is flashing, and we get, I think there's a roar that happens here too, although I might be a little too early for it. Like it felt kind of, I was welcoming the space essentially, because I had felt kind of claustrophobic before this.
Yeah. Agreed.
I like it too.
It is a nice change up from the hallways, because we've been pretty hallway dense up to this point. Apex or whatever it is, Apexion looks great. it's a very aesthetically pleasing planet. Yeah.
Agreed.
I also like that we get away from the teleporting enemies for a while. I think this is literally the only level in this episode that does not have them.
Yeah. We're coming back to them in a big bad way.
Yep.
Instead of that, we get these kind of round shield, like these large mega Carls with round shields that kind of rush you as an approach on these narrow bridges. So you don't have a lot of room to dodge around them. You kind of have to deal them.
Yeah.
And enemies are still, we don't have teleporters, but we still do have enemies warping in.
Yeah.
So enemies will warp in behind you. Again, those kind of big EDF dealies.
As a function of being outside, though, you do get enemies who drop in those drop pods, those ODST pods. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
As you're kind of making your way through this outdoor area, we're running into more of those kind of memorials and lore bits, and they talk about this whole area being this in this area they talk about this controversial induction of the Cathal into the legislature. We'll learn about him later.
He's super important. Well, importantly, Cathal, Aris has told us, Cathal, he's the guy who made all these beasts that you're going to get. You got to get them hearts back.
Yep. And in a line that sounds straight out of the fucking Star Wars extended universe, he was the only Deagonite deemed worthy of standing with the Prime.
I copied that pretty much directly from the text too.
No, I know. I like this game a lot. I even like the lore of it. But boy, in black and white, it sounds dumb as hell sometimes.
Yeah,
it's good, but it's like, oh man, there's Deagonites in this. I know there are going to be Deagonites.
That's all you had to say.
When it comes to Deagonites, make room for Meganite. Make room for me tonight.
But, I mean, like to get some context, like of the different races, they've only been alluded to a little bit before, but the Deganites are like these really unpredictable warrior kind of folks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's what we're dealing with. The Prime, we have seen how exclusive they are and how highfalutin, and I guess this whole game is a parable about what happens when you break homogeneity.
Mm-hmm.
So
kind of slobs versus snobs.
Yeah.
Kind of those Prime on the rich side of the lake. The rich Prime camp.
It's basically just a retelling of Wet Hot American Summer.
Yes.
I mean, if you really think about it, with all of the
Netflix series, not the
Ant-Man character, Paul Rudd character.
Oh. So, but yeah, this is a nice little breather. I think this outdoor area. Before we get back into the Senate, though, we find this obelisk in an alley, and we see kind of a reprise of the Monarch enemy, the one that we fought kind of in the lake bed back in Viridian. Except this time, the launcher on his back fires these frost missiles that kind of create a little slow field around them, and you think, that was fun. I'm happy that I fought one of those before you go into the Senate, and whoopsie.
Oops, all Frost Monarch.
Yep.
I actually like these guys again if there's only one of them.
Yes.
Like when there's not, and the first mix-ups with them are fun, but we do fight a lot of them. And this is us moving into the seat of the Senate, which is the area where I think that this is definitely too long.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like even just in terms of space, like even if you got rid of all the enemies of this and just ran through it, it would take too long.
Yes.
Like it is just too big.
It has a little bit of the sewer level problem, right? Where you kind of, it's two different. So each hallway has two different levels on it, and you're going to have to run down one and then back up on the other
to get the
either
treasures.
top or bottom. Yeah.
Well, and it's nonsensical that it's this big because we know the Prime are human sized.
Yeah.
They have couches. We've seen their couches.
Yeah, and I don't see where a legislative body could actually work here.
Yeah. I would have liked to have seen some UN style hallways or offices and things like that. But really, it's just big hallways.
Yes.
It's like the halls of the Senate aren't literal. There's room to go off those halls.
The halls and curved stairs. That's all that exists in this territory.
Yeah, but no rooms, like no place to sit, nowhere to stand. It's a weird purgatorial area.
Yeah.
Maybe that plays into the lore because the Prime were kind of insufferable assholes throughout all of this. Maybe they literally did not allow people to have offices and just like, okay, you guys have to stand around and look at us while we do our Prime thing.
You've heard of a standing desk? That sounds like a bummer, right? Try this, the desk. It's just.
I mean, that those are a thing, right?
Desks?
No. Walking desks.
No. I mean, I said I know. I don't know that it's a thing.
Oh yeah,
that's a bummer.
No. It's like there's there are desks that have that have treadmills at them. So yes, you do walk at them.
Oh, look, a treadmill is, and you can put a treadmill up to a desk. I get that. I was thinking of a desk you have to walk around with because you're in a hall because you stay still.
No, I think that's a clipboard, Gary.
Or like in Revenge of the Nerds at the end, they have little laptops.
Ooh,
they wear on little suspenders. Yeah, one of those things.
Yeah.
But these are full desktops.
Yes.
And you drag the PC behind you like you're dragging a drip feed in the hospital.
Yeah.
I knew I shouldn't have splurged for that 1080. The fucker's weighs 5 pounds.
This thing's connected to your catheter.
Oh no.
Anywho, this area is a real nightmare.
Yeah.
And I don't like it that much.
Yeah,
lasts forever.
So part of why those why those cold ones end up being a problem is like this isn't a game where you want to run by things and it's kind of discouraged that the entire time. Like to a certain extent, they just kind of become an environmental hazard that keeps you off of the first floor. Like I would just run past them until, you know, like run between them to get to the staircases and get above them, because once you're above them, they can't really do much to you.
Yeah, but above them are those, again, like the sniper shield guys with a couple melee dudes or a teleporting guy.
Yeah.
Up there. So they eventually see through that trick. And there's always that feeling, like you said, about at sewer level, like I always feel like I'm giving up treasure by just choosing one level. So weirdly unacceptable to me. Like I have to, you know, I have to do it. I have to clear it out.
Yeah. We've talked about the shield snipers before. These ones feel especially deadly to me. Like,
well, they cover each other more. Like these ones are set up where a lot of times one will be at a 90-degree angle right in front of you, but another one will be at a 45-degree angle, to cover that first one.
Mm-hmm.
Coming back through here a second time and knowing a little bit more about the game, I was carrying a secondary sniper rifle that had its special move was the ghost shot. Not associated with Ghost Dog, just Ghost Shot.
Okay.
That was extremely helpful to me. Like being able to shoot through their shields and damage these guys was kind of a make it or break it run. Even if I wasn't doing as much damage as I would have with the Silver Spear, being able to damage and kill those dudes from range was such a huge help. I just like I'd hardly ever used the special attacks on any of my weapons up to that point, and yeah, that was very satisfying.
Nice. Yeah,
I mean, the alternative, what I ended up doing as well, is also taking them at range, because they're all set up that if you rush them, teleporting, sticky grenade guys will pop in. Like,
teleporting shotgun guys, like
shotgun guys.
Yeah, they give up the pretense here. They will just appear and kill you. There's no sportsman-like conduct with these dudes.
Yeah, and they're going to get worse. Like, that's actually one of my least favorite things for the next level is teleporting shotgun guys.
Yeah.
But these guys, like, they're all set up not to rush them. So it's like a little bit of frustrating kind of gotchaism. Like the idea, if you look at one of these sniper guys, it feels like, okay, the strategy here is to rush them and dodge their sniper fire on the way in and close the distance. But they just kind of throw in this little, like, that'd be too easy. So here's here's an ambush if you try that.
Mm-hmm.
And what I think the effect was supposed to be like, search your mind and react really fast. And when you get up there, like, take everybody out. But it's not Bloodborne. Like, I don't have that kind of mobility. So what I landed on was, I'm going to stand here, aim my sniper rifle at this dude's head, wait for his shield to go down, and then shoot him once he's recharging his shield. And it just made this area extremely slow as well. Like, it really killed the pace because I played it safe. And it like feels like it's a little bit too much. Like, I wouldn't have felt like I needed to play it so safe if the obelisk placement wasn't so far apart.
Yeah.
But that combination of like extremely hostile, dense encounters and a huge, a big penalty for experimentation here. Like, I didn't sit with me super well. Like, I wanted him to pick 2, as opposed to picking 3. Like, give me the snipers, give me the ambushes on rushing the snipers, give me the lack of obelisk, but don't give me all 3.
Yeah.
Give me 2 of those and I'll be happy, Yeah.
it's like they're trying to design it not to be solved is what it felt like. Yeah.
And the way I solved it was like pretty bland, again, just like slow sniper battles.
Yeah. Well, I mean, for me, I had a launcher, and that stat set is pretty much mutually exclusive with snipers. So instead, I became kind of a mortar guy. To where I would just kind of try and figure out the trajectory and aim way above them, hoping to get the grenade to kind of land next to them and hope that the splash damage would get around their shield.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Did that work well, or?
Oh, I mean, I got through it. It was better. Yeah. So the other kind of launcher that you can get is a rocket launcher, but it is not like a Quake 3 rocket launcher. It actually has this strangely spiral trajectory on it. And so you can be aiming right at somebody, but it will spiral around them roughly at the same kind of phase almost. So like if they are a certain distance away from you, the bullet just is not going to hit them because it will swerve around them. Yeah.
Like some Fester's Quest stuff.
Kinda, yeah. Fester's Quest is a good way to conceptualize it. Yeah.
Yeah, with the shotgun, this area was absolute hell. Like my entire play style was like get up close, shoot them in the back, and kill everything really fast, and that just did not work for this area. There was this one particular section where you have to kind of go up some stairs, and then you make a 90-degree turn to the left, and there's just like it just feels like there's 80 dudes there blocking your progress. Mm-hmm. I finally just literally ran past it and just did not stop running until their leash broke. And I was able to get past that one section, which got me to the next obelisk. And I was like, I'll go back there later when I'm super powered, and just did not fucking bother with it.
Yeah.
With the sniper rifle, like I said, it was pretty easy to just pick them off from a distance and wail it and knock them out. But that whole playthrough to me felt a little bit slower and more methodical than the shotgun build that I had. So that the slowness there didn't bother me, but also 100% knew what I was getting into. Like going through a second time was so much easier than the first time, as it always is when these games.
Yeah. The other exploit that I found was separating away the shotgun angels was easier if you just hung out in the staircase. Nobody else would approach you, but the shotgun angels would bamf right at the doorway, either at the top or the bottom, and then you could just take them out and then make the rest of the enemies easier. Without them kind of like constantly getting on you. But it doesn't feel good. It feels like you're, playing with the box instead of the toy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah. And it's like I'd probably have a different experience if I went through it the second time, but that only has so much value, Yeah. Like
Absolutely.
The goal would be to communicate and make the experience good the first time, like kind of communicate to the player. It's not a death knell or anything like that, but it's the weird the end of this game where like there are things that I definitely even specifically like about the end of it, and I like all three of even this one, which is like way too easy in conception. I like all of the kind of Lord Soul bosses, but this is like the second half of the game is where the levels kind of like let me down a little bit, and it's just through attrition, like just by doing too long and too much.
Yeah.
And this definitely did it. And on the second run through, like I watched a replay of this to kind of refresh my memory, and the whole playthrough is 5 hours. Like there's a way to do this in a reasonable time. I just didn't know it, So,
yep.
As you're kind of moving through, you're seeing a little bit of environmental storytelling. You're seeing skeletons on the ground.
Yep.
We eventually start running into this boy, who shows up. It's just a little shirtless, like Mowgli or whatever, the guy who
Mowgli,
who eventually started the delivery business that eventually turned into Tailspin.
Okay.
And then isn't it weird that like Tailspin is a Jungle Book knockoff?
I have no fucking idea. I don't know. What you're talking about.
I guess when you say that, yeah, that's so fucking weird. I never really thought about that when I was a kid. I was just like, oh yeah, these chipmunks are funny. Or I could be actually maybe not thinking of Chip and Dale Rescue. Hold on.
Well, Chippendale. So Chippendale starting a detective agency doesn't bother me, but the idea of all the guys from the Jungle Book being like, we now live in a world without land, I think, where we all live in tree houses and we do UPS.
Yeah.
Like, it's one of the weirdest things. And I was also thinking about how the theme song for that show, like all those theme songs are like impeccable and super catchy. And then like the Tailspin theme song is just like it's just like somebody hitting random on a keyboard for the whole thing. It doesn't, it's just like a weird outlier.
Yeah.
Even more of an outlier than Gummy Bears.
Huh. Yeah, I guess so. I know Tailspin for sure, but I just never connected that they were Jungle Book characters. But yeah, I guess Baloo's there.
Yeah, huh. and Shere Khan is there. So it's a Casablanca knockoff in the sky based on Jungle Book and UPS. Like it's really fucking weird. Yeah. I don't like it. So Mowgli shows up here though. This is also in the Tailspin extended universe apparently.
Right? Yeah.
And he starts fooling you. He starts tricking you. And I'm not saying this is a weird brag, but I feel like there's a lore note right before him that says, what's the Malog? It's like Malog clouds the minds of his victims and sends them illusions.
Yeah.
And then there's a boy that's an NPC that we've never seen before who's just shirtless hanging out in Skeletonville. And I was like, oh, this is an illusion. Don't do what the boy says.
Do not trust the boy.
Yeah, do not trust the boy. I look down at my hand. It says, do the opposite of what the boy says. And it's kind of obvious, like me being like, oh, I didn't fall for your trick is kind of obviated by how easy the boss is regardless.
Yeah.
But like if they'd given the boss some teeth, this would have actually been something, but you would have to like you have to be a little bit trickier than this, man. Like, we haven't run into any shirtless humans yet.
Right.
You know, they're conspicuous as hell.
Yeah. If you remember back about 10, 15 hours ago, when we talked to Nero on Skypath, he also mentioned, like, don't break the chains when the boy tells you to, or something like that.
Like, it literally goes out of its way to, like, you know, hey, don't do this.
Yeah. Well, I just went and did it because, I don't know, fuck all these people, I suppose.
Yeah, fuck chains.
Yeah. You know, I was just living into the spirit of the title of the game. And so we can talk about the trade-off on this, right? So the idea is that if you cut these chains, it should make the boss harder. However, you are also getting good items on the other sides of these chains, like bit cisterns and stuff like that, that I guess nominally should kind of like make you stronger in exchange for facing a tougher boss later.
Yes, that's the idea behind it.
That's the idea behind it. Additionally, if you cut those chains, then Naro dies. But I don't know. Fuck him, I guess.
I
broke the chains only because I wanted the patches moment. Like, that's what I kind of assumed was they were building up to.
Yeah.
Excuse me. I figured that there would be something interesting that would happen if you broke all of the chains, and then just got nervous two-thirds of the way through. Was like, well, maybe I don't want to do this after all. But I was kind of thinking, like, you know, what if Patches shows up in the Cathedral of the Deep rafters with, you know, wearing an Unbro's armor, whatever it is.
Yeah.
I was kind of hoping that there would be something like that, and the actual mechanical benefit is so. I mean, it's interesting. I really like the idea that doing stuff in a level will affect the difficulty of a boss. I think that's really interesting and fun. I just like it. The boss is so easy. Like, even the extra super hard version of Malak and the echo of him is not that hard either. So
right.
It's exceedingly easy.
Yeah.
Like, it's this weird disagreement where if they had just juiced up that boss a little bit, this would be a meaningful trade.
Yeah.
As is, like, the way it worked was this guy, you know, took me like 2 seconds to kill, and then I also screwed myself out of the treasure. You know, so it was just into this weird kind of way where I felt a little bit punished for being smart. You know, from it, I could go back and get it, and it was just like I was getting to the end game, so I didn't. But yeah, it's just a weird choice. Like, I think it would have been very cool if it would have been a little bit better executed.
I mean, from a flavor standpoint, a boy who's doing persuasive speech on you was kind of cool. You know, like the prose, like most of the other prose in the game, is super evocative. You know, the kid saying, "Oh, the prime hid truths the way vermin store up grain." Like, okay, yeah, I like that. That's good English. That's like, fuck yeah, give it to me.
There was also a moment when I saw the kid, and I pretty much assumed that it was going to be either, you know, I assumed it would be like a projection of some sort, but you know, they had talked about ripping out the heart of Cathal, ripping out his heart and making these monsters, but they'd also talked about some kids and things like that. So I was like, well, maybe something like truly heinous has happened here, and this kid is Malag, and Malag is like psychically projected me his real shit and not his beast form or whatever, and begging me to do something. Like, what if I'm about to kill the good guy, right? Like, are we the bads kind of situation?
Yeah.
And I think you eventually get a little bit of that, but it doesn't actually play out with this kid at all. So
No.
Not with the kid. Like, that's a reasonable interpretation. And spoiler, like, we are the bads.
Yes.
Like, we are doing a bad thing with this.
Yeah.
It's also whenever, like, a game when you're doing the bad thing and you, you know, I'm not one of those people who thinks that it's meaningless because you had no choice to do so. Like, as a big Spec Ops fan, like, I think it's okay to be forced into being bad. The way that this one does it is kind of weird with how the lore sits in the game.
Yeah.
Because the lore in this game, like, so that twist feels like it's kind of predicated on understanding these nouns, but the lore in this game is very explicitly optional.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that's meaning to me it's bad. Like, I kind of like it. Like, I think it's actually good, but it's very easy to go through the game and ignore it.
Yeah.
You know, and then you get this, like, big cutscene, and it's hard to tell the broad strokes of really what's happening with that and feel like it's a meaningful betrayal when it happens. We have a whole boss. It should say something about how much of a non-entity Malag is, that, like, we've just kind of accidentally drifted forward like 6 paragraphs to talk about the second Anne Orlando moment.
Yeah.
So I guess more on that in a moment. We can just kind of scoot through the end of this.
Yeah, but just like it is an underwhelming thing that is recontextualized a couple of times to where, like, yes, we are the bads, but also we're bads against worse bads, and maybe killing Malog, even though he is presenting his real self here, it's a mercy killing anyway. So, yeah, because the damage is already done. Yes.
So after you start running into boys, and there's gonna be a total of 3 boys, but they're sprinkled amongst just an absolute fucking death push at the end of this. Just like this really, really, really tough encounter where the floor is full of those big guys. You can't take care of that. And then there's a path in the upper thing where there are snipers upon snipers covering each other.
Yes.
So including one that is behind some rubble that has a 45-degree angle on you if you try to get an angle on the main snipers that are then covering each other. And then if you run up, of course, there's a teleporting shotgun guy that pops in. Like, it is exceedingly rough. And I died here a bunch of times, and it was quite a run from the obelisk. This was a source of 2, put it down for the knights.
Yep.
Oh, okay. And then I'll come back tomorrow.
Yeah, so because this area is made up of 90-degree angled dog legs, you think, okay, I'm going to turn this corner and the horizon's going to be there. No, not really. So after I got, I this was 2 put it down for the knights. 1 was after I kind of got through the 3 snipers area by the skin of my teeth, and then I turned the corner and there was another sniper and more and more frosty boys, more cold ones. And I was like, oh yeah. So I not only need to get past these guys alive, I need to get past these guys alive enough to survive a couple of more encounters and at least one more up and down on the stairs. It just kept on unfolding with more and more, with nary an obelisk to be found until you get to the boss door.
Agreed.
Yeah. Well,
my experience.
What was your experience on this final hallway push, Jeremy?
I mean, it's very similar. Like, it was just very, very grueling.
Yeah.
And at this point, I had the god tier weapon. I was trying to upgrade it as much as possible. On both my runs, I had the god tier weapon. I was trying to upgrade it as much as possible.
Yeah.
But it only seemed to help at the slightest. And getting through to this last obelisk was such a huge thing. Like, it felt so good to get here. And I never ever wanted to go back and do it again until, of course, I played through for a second time.
Right.
I was kind of poking around at their new cursed mode, and I don't think it's going to be something that I ever do. But one of the first decisions that you make is do you want to take damage every time you fluff a reload, or do you want to take damage if you're standing still? And I was just thinking about either one of those. But between in this area, and I'm like, fuck both of those. I don't know. I don't want to do this. This sounds terrible.
Would you rather air be fire or water be fire?
I'm good. Yeah.
Yeah. No. Nope. Oh, but when I got to the door, when I got to the safe, the safe hall at the end of this, I won't lie, I did a fist pump. I was like, yes. I would just I threw my controller down onto the table. I was like, finally. Just it felt good to be past it, but I don't know that speaks to an overall quality of the experience.
It's like I could have gotten that feeling with just a little less.
Yeah.
It doesn't need to scale back that much. It just it really does come down to that point we made at the beginning of this, which is it reuses tricks too often.
Yeah.
That part where you talked about where you turned the corner and just saw another setup of the same situation you just proven that you've passed is really telling of just kind of challenge me with new stuff and do that over and over, and that's good. Please. That's cool. That's why I play video games. But when I've proven I can do it, it's I've proven I can do it. And because of the iterative loop of Souls-like games, I'm going to die and I'm going to prove I can do it again and again and again and again and again. And it's at that point, there are diminishing returns. You're really just kind of repeating to get small efficiencies and slightly better luck to take less damage as you're repeating the same, very similar encounters kind of over and over.
Yeah.
So just have the same thing but less.
Yeah.
You know, that sniper thing that we're talking about, where like the floor is frost lava, and the upper level is those 3 snipers and stuff. That should be the climax of this area. Like, that's very tough. It deals with all the pieces in the playpen that this whole area has done. That should totally be the last thing, and the boss should be right around the corner. But you have quite a bit more. Like, there's another encounter just like that. There's more just kind of like frosty guys and stuff, and I don't really get it. I don't really understand the idea behind it.
I was gonna say that I feel like the last 3 levels of this game, this area and the 2 areas past it, are both suffer from like being 20% too long. Yeah. Like I could just use less in the end game. Like, and I feel like that's something that, I don't know if it's a game developer thing or what, where they're like, oh no, we want it to be a certain length, and we want people to feel, that they got a lot of game out of this. And I'm like, I want to feel like I accomplished something without like smashing my head into a mirror. So always go for brevity over anything in my book. I found that with this could be just old man Jeremy yelling at a cloud, but also just like playing other games lately. I'm like, why am I doing this for like 8 hours? Like, please just let me get to the next level.
I mean, it's an ethos that is literally the joke. The food's terrible, but the portions are amazing.
Yeah. Well, there's also, I mentioned it that I can't remember the name. There's like a Kotaku reviewer who did a review, and he was talking about he does these video reviews. They're very snarky, and I can imagine people hating them. And I don't love them, but I like one aspect of it. He talked about this thing, I mentioned it before on shows, where he like this concept of the I get it button, where like, if you're playing a game, if you're like creating a game and you get to a point where you're fighting a boss, or you're doing a puzzle segment, or you're doing a level, and you have that feeling where it's like, I know what to do, I just don't want to do it.
Yeah.
There should just, that's the I get it button, and you could press that and skip it. And the goal of a good video game is to never have that button. Like, you never want to just feel like, oh, I know what to do, I just don't want to do it.
Right.
It happens a lot with like Mario style bosses, where it's like, 5 times, do this puzzle to hit him in the weak spot and do this thing. Mm-hmm. And it's like, after 2 of those, or maybe 3 of them, I just totally get it. And I just don't need to go through the motions again.
It's like video game captcha, right? Like, just pick out the floating puzzle, and then if you can solve this one floating puzzle, we'll never make you do another floating puzzle ever in this video game. Like, let me show that you can kill 1 frost missile guy and 2 sniper dudes, and then we'll just not let you have to do that anymore. Like, it's fine.
Like, when somebody presses the I get it button, it should be like when somebody on the assembly line at Toyota presses the safety problem button. The whole line shuts down. We need to fix this now.
Yep. And the end of this has a lot of I get, but man, video game captcha is a really damning thing. Like, a very damning phrase that I'm going to definitely pull into my vocabulary now. Like, that is cold. Cold Greer.
Straight ice.
Let's talk about this guy.
Yeah.
Let's talk about this boss. Let's talk about Malog.
Let's do it, because you walk into the High Court, which they have kind of retrofitted to be a prison, and we see Malog. For me, he was held chained up, but instead, he was pretty out and wild in the open when I walked in. Mm-hmm. So that changes the entrance. If you don't break the chains, how does this articulate?
He's chained up for a little while.
For the first half. Yeah, for like the first half of the fight. He's yelling at you, and he can shoot his like energy wave attack.
Okay.
But that's it. So he just sits there, and you just shoot him, and he slowly breaks all 3 of the chains, and then he can get up and turn into like kind of diet flame lurker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh. No, he was Diet Flame Lurker the entire time for me. So, like, I kind of got the idea that, like, yeah, he's supposed to be aggressive and feral and, whatever. But, like, most of the bosses in this game took me at least, like, 2 or 3 tries, Like, just you go in, you learn what move will kill you first, and then you go in, you avoid that to see the other moves, and then one of those gets you, and then now you know all the moves, and you can take them out. Right? That's usually the way that it goes for me. I aced Malog, like even in his, I suppose, hardest form in the non-echo version, he was just kind of simple enough for me to like move around. And I think that might just be a mismatch, in making a Flame Lurker style enemy in a game where you have ranged combat.
Yeah. Also, didn't they put the weak point on his chest, which is where you'd like naturally aim at?
Yep.
That's what I was going to say too, is that I was using my sniper rifle at close range and he just ran up and it's like he set the barrel of the sniper rifle against his weak point and said, come on, I dare you. I want you to shoot me. It's like he did that. And I was like, yeah, okay. And I took off like 60% of his health or something with my very powerful sniper rifle in his weak point at point blank range. Yeah. And it's like, what is this? Weird choice, guys. Like, I understand because the nature of his aggression means that you can't really get behind him.
Right.
So they couldn't put the weak point behind him, but maybe he doesn't have a weak point, or maybe make it his head or something you have to aim at.
Right.
Don't make it center mass on the front of him.
Yeah. Don't make it the thing that your auto lock will point to.
Yeah. Weird.
Yeah.
Do the Shadow of the Colossus thing and just hide the weak point like in the palm of his hand and like give him an attack that exposes that, right? Like just do something. But as it was, like I could not believe like when I started shooting the guy and was like, oh, his weak, really? I couldn't really. Yeah. This seems kind of strange. Yeah. But yeah, I like the fight. Like I think it's way too easy. And it's behind. It's very strange to me that it's behind like the worst part of the, not the worst part, but like that one of the hardest parts of the game up to this point. But actually, I like the design of the dude. I like the music that plays. I like the stuff that's around it. I just like, and I can't believe that we're here on Bonfireside chat asking for a boss to be more difficult, but here we are. Like I need it to be a little bit more.
Yeah. It felt like it was over before it started.
Exactly. Yeah. Like with Iska, especially with the phases, and even Arlen. Like Arlen was probably the boss I had the most problems with. I felt like there was a series of things that I was learning to do in order to counter all of the boss's moveset or their attacks. And with this, I was like, oh, I just like held down the button and shot him with like 8 shotgun shells, and now he's dead. So especially coming after Arlen, I felt like it would like because Arlen's probably it's one of my favorite bosses ever now. Like I really, really like that boss fight. And to have this dude just be like kind of monster dude who rushes you was kind of a letdown. Even though I like it overall, like it was just like I wanted more weird stuff like Arlen and Iska.
Yeah. It's just you know like these bosses are at their best when they show you when they show you new ideas and you have to adapt to them. And just to not like to have things be over so quickly or so easily that doesn't really happen. It's a little unsatisfying, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The challenge version of this guy is a pretty good step in the right direction.
Yes.
Which you fight later. Like he's not that much harder, but the arena is a little trickier. And he's a little bit more aggro. He does more damage. Like that's a little bit better.
Yeah.
I can see what they're doing. Like just let's have a melee boss, like in this gun game. Like it's something we haven't really done yet.
Yeah.
A lot of the enemies have melee attacks, but they haven't been primarily melee, like meaningfully. Like Iska, does use melee, quote unquote, but they have such range that's like, not that different from. It's like a long range attack still.
Yeah.
Like have somebody who has to get it up close and do a lot of damage to you. So I get what they were thinking of, but it is kind of a letdown.
Yeah.
Can I derail this for just a second?
Yes, you can.
Because after you kill Malog, like you get access to his echo. Like it's that remnant world portal that's in the big throne looking room right before his boss area, and that was like the point of the game. Like it had already impressed me that you could warp between all of these worlds and everything. But coming out of there, killing Echo of Malog, and then realizing that you're like right behind the obelisk that you used to rest at before the guy that you beat in Viridian, like the first major boss in Viridian, and like they're just literally right next to each other, and you can see them. Like I just like kind of blew my mind. I was like, oh, this is so cool. Like this is so neat that you could warp to these other parts of the map that are otherwise inaccessible and fight like these cool bosses. So I wanted to bring that up just because I thought that was like super interesting and neat. Yeah,
I generally ran a little bit cold on the remnant world. Kind of stuff. It just didn't end up really being for me, but noticing the ways that those wedges of the stage fit into the existing stage was the neat thing that I liked about them.
Yeah.
Yeah. I dug them. I didn't do all of them, but I like them quite a bit.
Yeah.
After you beat main Malog, you get a little cutscene of us tearing out his heart.
Right.
And now we have the 3 hearts, so let's head on back to our extremely trustworthy advisor.
Yep. Somebody who is definitely not steering us wrong. Our good buddy Aris back in the back by the monolith, right?
Why is Aris wearing a shirt that says "not a snitch" right now? I've never really understood that. It's weird.
My shirt about not being a snitch raises a lot of questions that are answered by my shirt.
Yeah, so we've gone and done Aris's job for him. He's able to open up his rift into the stream, right? And then he cackles and says, "Oh, it's been so good to manipulate you. Guess what? I just made you kill your kids because you're not some unnamed prisoner. You're Cathal."
Those were your kids.
Surprise!
And it's like, whoa. Yep.
They seem pretty miserable.
Kids.
So
yeah, they're mercy because that Arlen wasn't going to be happy.
No,
like he's vomiting bugs a lot.
Yeah,
like there's no way that guy didn't want to be put out of his misery.
Right.
But you do mercy kill him, and then so he does this. He kind of snidely says, it's great to finally use my real voice, and all of this stuff. And then he turns into what should be the last boss of the game. Like, Did you guys, we talked about how these last areas, like, spoiler, we have 2 more areas after this.
Yeah.
Did you guys, I also think this felt like an ending, and this is a really good boss, and just made sense to end. And the fact that the game kept going after this was a real significant bummer to me. Like, this felt climactic to me.
Yeah,
in a serious way.
This is part of the way that approaching these games for a show will diminish it for me, which is I knew that there was more after it, so I didn't invest too much in the climacticness of this in my head. I can totally see what you're saying though, like killing the person who gives you your mission and then going on to fight Zeromus. Like, one of those is obviously the stronger foot to end on, even if I do appreciate the stuff that they do at the very, very end.
I feel like they could have combined those 2 things. Like, the cool trick they do at the end is not mutually exclusive with this being the last boss.
Yeah.
Like, just have this guy rip off a mask and be the last boss or something like that. Or have, after you beat this guy, have the last boss show up immediately.
Yeah.
Ornstein and Smough it or something. But putting those 2 padding levels after this just really rubs me the wrong way.
So I'm on record as thinking that both of the last areas are a little too long. I like the idea that you kill this guy and then you're literally jumping into like the stream of creation. Like that as a concept is extremely cool. And I think the ultimately the last level, like just from a visual standpoint alone, is kind of worth it because it's so different from anything else that we've got in the game previously. But again, like you that quickly wears out when you have to do it for like 45 minutes in your first run, it seems like, and it's kind of unending almost. I wouldn't want this to be the end of the game. Like I still want that last level. I think you could probably lose the level after it, which I'm sure none of us are going to like very much. But like I feel like if you just jumped into the stream and you wound up in the whatever the last area is, I forget what it's called, the 10th realm.
Yeah,
I think that would probably be like if you killed this dude and like you jumped into the stream, you showed up there, and there were like 10 more guys, and then you got this cool ending. I think that would be perfect. But as it was,
that'd be good.
I didn't know that there was anything after this. Like, so I was like, holy shit, and then every moment from there kind of ramped up until about 2/3 of the next area, where I was like, okay, all right, like I got to go to lunch. Like there cannot be another 3 levels of this. Like I need to go.
Yeah, but
I can't stop because I haven't been at Obelisk in a while. So yeah, that's. I see what you're saying, Gary, but I want that last boss fight, but I don't want to just go through the shit to get to it, I guess.
What about the last area not having anyone in it? Like half as long, but it's just this creepy walk where the guy like monologues to you the whole time about his thing, which he kind of does. But yeah, like skip the feature of the Fractured Void, which I think we can all agree is garbo.
Yeah.
And then go to just that final visually interesting area and just have it be a moment of quiet.
Yeah.
And these games don't really do that. We've talked about that a lot. Like Souls games they kind of got bad at doing that at some point. Like early Dark Souls games and Demon Souls would have quiet moments like this, and then they kind of went away.
Yeah.
In the later Souls games and in any of the games that came after. That would have been good too.
Mm-hmm.
It just felt like it had to be, we had to throw in a little bit more challenge. Like we had teleporting shotgun guys that knock you down. Got to throw those guys in mass.
Yeah.
They got to be there. Like that just is a bummer.
Yeah, it's a super bummer because like there is an exceedingly small part of the 10th realm that is that. Like when you're climbing up a long stairway and it's, basically whenever the final boss is talking to you or monologuing to you and you're not doing stuff, like that is where that area shines. Kind of literally, because it is visually amusing. This is going to sound more damning than I intended to, but like the Fractured Void specifically, but even parts of the 10th realm, it's kind of like if you go to a concert for a band that had like, let's say 4 hits. Okay. I don't have an example off the top, but like they play their entire set, and during that entire set they played all 4 of their hits, right? Like, okay, encore, they used all their stuff. What's the encore going to be? And the encore is just an extended medley of those same 4 hits again, except it's the reggae remix of them.
Yeah, give us some reggae.
I was just about to say, this is the Axl Rose version of the encore.
That's why I said reggae. Just any intolerable genre to do something in, but just like that. Like again, that sounds more damning than I wanted to. But it's like, why am I sitting through this concert? I just want to see the end. I guess I don't know. I really like it when bands bow. So I can't finish until they finish.
Before we get to that, we do fight Aris.
Yes.
Our betrayal master, who is like a wizard fight. He has the shield bubble over him that I think is very clever.
Yes.
Like the shield bubble you can walk through but can't shoot through. So it keeps you close to him to damage him. Like you have to actually walk through the shield before you can hit him. And his attacks are made to kind of push you off. He does a sweep, which you dodge through, obviously, but he also does these other like kind of sparks that fly out, and you want to not be close to him because you want to have them travel a little bit of a distance to dodge through them, but you have to be close to him to hurt him. And that tension, and he teleports around, so you are constantly you're getting within his shield, getting in a couple shots. He's teleporting away and doing these attacks that kind of push you away. It has a really great tension to it. I think this is definitely better design than the last boss fight in the game. This is one of the better ones as far as design, I think.
Yeah, this is pretty rich with ideas. Both of you guys leaned on snipers quite a bit. How did this fight work with you and your choice? It seemed like that, like the choice to put the bubble around him would make snipers completely useless against him. But like, how does that work for you?
He's so resistant to, because I was using the silver spear, which I think is either fire energy. I can't forget which one, but he's so resistant to any kind of elemental damage that like I was switching to second tier weapons to be able to do the most damage from him. And this is one of the few boss fights that I found myself actually having to switch through multiple weapons, like because he's so relentless that you don't really have time to do a reload, so it's just quicker to switch to a secondary weapon and then keep coming after him than it is to try to eat an ammo pack or anything.
Yeah. Gary?
Yeah, pretty similar. I mean, my sniper rifle he was not resistant to, but I just used it at melee. But he's generally pretty tough, so it took many shots, and I could not reload. So I also had to kind of lean on my secondary weapons, not all of which were fully upgraded or epic tier. So this ended up being a little bit of a fight of endurance, but it was fun because I got that Artorias feeling of like, oh, I can dodge everything this guy does. I just kind of, I can do it all. So it doesn't matter that's going to last a while because I am, it's requiring perfection for a long time, which is something I don't usually like. It's not quite perfection though, because he doesn't hit so hard. He doesn't, he's not so aggressive, and there is time to heal if you go in, because what's cool about this, I don't think we explicitly mentioned this, is you do this fight in Firelink.
Yes.
Like you're doing this in the grand hall. So like there's tons of places to run and go hide and heal. So if he starts doing a distance attack, duck behind a corner, heal, do what you need to do, and then come back out.
The problem
in this very familiar area too.
The problem with that for me is that all of his distance attacks would go through the doorways and stuff for me.
Yeah, like the beam sweep will clip right through anything. Like that was my frustration, is I couldn't. That's why I said I couldn't get away to do ammo or anything, because like if I did that, it seemed like that would almost trigger his beam sweep thing, and that would get me every time. And that did a lot of damage to me.
Yeah, or he would teleport to the other side of some of the doors and beam sweep me, and I would die without being able to see him do the attack or start it. Like I would have dodged that if I could have seen it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just like it is cool that they put it in the Grand Hall, in the core. I just wish the geometry worked in a way that didn't feel like it would set it up for that kind of unfortunate death, right?
The sweep, yeah, he definitely went through, but I think it blocked some of his distant stuff. I remember being able to like at least duck before, or it would mess with his AI and set him to start a teleporting animation.
Yeah,
which gave me time, but I ended up using the geography to my advantage quite a bit in this.
Yeah, it's a good fight. Yeah. Like, I mean, it took me several tries, and I felt like I got it when I got him. But yeah, just like that was the one bummer about it was the geometry problem for me. Ours is neat from like a motivational point of view, and we would, it's worth mentioning before we get into the stream, because I imagine we're gonna kind of rail about it until we get to the final boss. But like, he is also a slave to this prophecy, just like everybody else has been. Malog was chained up because it was prophesied that he would lead to the fall of the Prime. Specifically, Naro was terrified of him. We saw the same thing with Orin and Arlen. And just in general, the Prime lived in utter fear of this prophecy that was carrying out, and everything they did to work against it just made the prophecy carry out further. And I think that setting that up before we get to the way this ends and how the prophecy is dispatched is worth doing, because I generally hate when prophecy is invoked in a game. Yeah. So I just wanted to get that out about Aris's motivation, because he has been manipulating you, because Cathal was supposed to be just the person who would drive the final dagger into the heart of everything the Prime held dear. And so that's why that's why he is delighted in kind of moving you around the board. Yep, and we'll see how that works out for him. Yeah, well, right now the trail goes around and around. Immortal Unchained. Yep.
Just like most of the level design in the Fractured Void, around and around.
Let's please get through this super quickly. I don't think we need to talk about this that much. It is a whole bunch of small or medium-sized combat gauntlets connected by portals, where there are tougher versions of many of the enemies we've already fought. And there are ambushes aplenty, even in a way that feels like it's cheating, where they're right as soon as you come through a portal. So you'll come through a portal and there will just be dudes standing there taking, like I think the first or second portal, there's a sniper rifle aiming at you when you come through, which is kind of a troll. Like, I get that that's kind of a joke. I hated every section of this, and I'm like, it's ugly and it's really boring looking. And I was like, oh, I've entered Chalice Dungeons. No. This game has decided to end with a bunch of randomized levels that I can just play forever now, and that's how it ends, right? Like, I beat it. Now I'm in New Game Plus, and I'm in Chalice Dungeons.
You mentioned
it is very
randomized. When I interviewed the game design guy, Johannes, he mentioned that one of his first ideas for this area was to make all these portals randomized, and I had to make you like try to fight your way through each one randomly. And I was like, no, please don't ever do that to anything, please, Johannes, no.
Yeah. You seem extremely cool. Don't do it. You seem cool.
I thought this area looked neat to begin with, but again, by the time you hit like the third obelisk, there's usually at least I think it's anywhere from 3 to 4 like combat encounters in between obelisk. So you can go, like, when I was trying to get my last achievement, like because there's lore items in here too, and it's like on the 9th level of the Fractured Void, and I'm like, where the fuck I don't understand 9th level. What is that? There's just too much of it. I mean, there's just too damn much of it. And I like some of the cool visual effects, like your chest all of a sudden, and when you pick stuff up, start like dissolving into these cubes and like flying out at an angle. And I like the fact that you can even see like weird shit in the distance. Like this is obviously like a giant level that they've kind of built around, even though you're portaling in between it. It just went on for far too long for me. When I got to the end of this, I made a joke of it earlier, but like I was literally late for lunch, but I didn't want to quit because it was so fucking. It had taken me so fucking long to get to the end that I didn't want to put the game down. Like I had to get to the end. And I was glad that I did, but then I instantly turned it off. I was like, I'm gonna finish this game tomorrow. So.
Yeah. The madness stops here.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I also have a very specific bone to pick with the teleporting sniper guys, which one hit will knock you down. So like I've talked about knockdown in this game and in general, and I just feel like it is not an okay decision to make it so you can take damage when you're down.
Yeah.
And if you can't take damage when you're down, it's just an annoying time tax. If you can take damage when you're down, it's just a damage tax. Mm-hmm. Like, just make the attack do more damage if I'm just going to get hit again automatically and not have a way to get out of it. There's not a way that, like, spamming roll or anything gets you up faster in this game, unlike it can in Souls games. So, like, it's just very frustrating to get knocked down. It is not, like, an interesting effect and probably shouldn't happen.
Right.
The way that this game uses it, or maybe just how games use it in general. Like, it's not very interesting.
Yeah, just like don't like temporarily in the middle of a hectic situation seize from me my ability to move my guy. Like, don't take control away from me, please.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, I need that control.
There's one section at the end, or close to the end, where you're like rounding a left-hand curve to get to this obelisk, and it's like it's right there. You've seen it since you've gotten into the portal. Like you know it's right there, and then they spawn two of those motherfuckers right in front of you, and it's the most. And they start teleporting around you, and if one of them hits you, it feels like not to make another Shadow of the Colossus reference, but it feels like in Shadow of the Colossus when one of the small Colossuses hits you, and you literally cannot get up in time before they hit you again. That's how it feels, and it just feels bad. Like. That I think dying there was maybe my worst death out of the entire game.
Yeah. The teleporting snipers are way too much. The one of these combat arenas that I thought was good and had like a satisfying kind of like premise to it was that one that kind of spiraled around and had snipers at vantage points and also had cover in. So you were almost like running this weird little circuit around and taking the snipers up as you walked all the way to the top and then spiraled back out down to the bottom to get to the like that was the cool one of these. Like if it was that and maybe two others, this probably would have passed, but as it stood, it was too much for me.
I don't even really understand what this area, like that geography as a wireframe could have been mapped onto almost any level.
Yes.
And accomplish the same purpose. I don't even really understand what this area accomplishes from a story standpoint.
So I like the concept.
It's like a vestibule to get to another area.
I like the concept of it as, there is a tear open, it is a fracture in the void, between the ninth realm and the stream. And all of this stuff is here and all of these people are here because in order to create the new world, the old one has to be destroyed. It has to suck matter through. And that's why you're seeing little bits and bobs of geography and architecture and these regular enemies is because like these chunks are being pulled out and you are going through this void into the 10th realm, which is kind of like the wireframe of this new universe that is being put together by Nailon. So like
I just feel like you could just go to the new universe though. You don't have to spend time in the hallway.
Oh, for sure.
Have this be the vestibule. Like you go through a little bit of this like chunks of level thing and then immediately go, just to see that it exists.
Yeah.
And then immediately go to the 10th realm. It's very transitional. It's weird. It's like the kind of thing I feel like games usually do in a cutscene.
Yeah.
Like you get to see somebody going through a portal.
It feels like a Adult Swim prank where like, what if we could make a star wipe last 20 minutes? And like you're like, okay, cool, I guess. Like but towards the end of it, you're like, all right, go ahead and finish up, guys.
Once we get through this, we get to that 10th realm, which we talked about, which is cool.
Yes.
It is this like geometric, like lots of right angles. It is red. There's this gigantic sun at the far end. These motes of lights are coming and things are dissolving and reforming as we walk towards it.
Yep.
And this calm voice says like, you're here, come witness this act of creation.
Yeah.
Extremely cool.
He is so calm and so British. I thought that I had like fired up Getting Over with Bennett Foddy.
Yeah. Yeah. Stanley thought
why is Stephen Merchant talking to me about this game?
Yeah.
And then it becomes the weird, like the end of Super Mario World where they show you a parade of all the different enemies you fought.
Yeah.
During the credits. It becomes that, but for this game where every enemy you fought so far gets a little tiny little highlight section.
Yeah.
This little encore presentation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Weird choice.
It's pretty tough. The run between the obelisks is pretty long, and it is complicated by the presence of, for me, it was complicated by the presence of the teleporting shotgun folks, who would, just kind of take me down in a couple of hits, and led to me inching forward through this stage that, it was nice to spend time in. Like, this is visually one of my favorite ideas in the game, possibly in Souls-likes. Like, I am enamored with the way this looks. A design decision that I wanted to call out as being amazing. So if you were ever lost about which way to go, and you can't exactly see where the sun is because of the geometry, you just have to look for the motes of light in which direction they're going. Everything is being sucked in the direction of the final boss.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
that is definitely neat. Yeah. I think it is like kind of hard to get lost in general. Like it's kind of a hallway.
Yeah.
But I think that would be cool in a world with like a little bit of more of a maze. Like if it wasn't just a hallway, I think that would be really neat if you were kind of forced to rely on that.
This might just be
forced to notice it.
A failing of my directional abilities, because I definitely got turned around in this.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. This just felt like a hallway to me, like for almost the whole deal. So that could definitely be the case.
Yeah.
Yeah, not to gang up on you, Cole, but I also like it felt pretty much like, oh yeah, I'm walking forward and I'm going to take a slight right and then a slight left. So like I didn't really get turned around. If anything, though, I mean that's kind of a failing on the level, because it does look exactly the same throughout.
Yeah,
I think that initial presentation when you finally get out of these clouded ass forbidden void or whatever, and you get this huge bright sun and these colors that you haven't really seen in the game before. That's such a striking moment. But by the time you get to that second obelisk, you're like, all right, come on, speed it up, let's go, let's get it done.
Yeah.
But I like this area quite a bit. Like I don't mind going through. I felt like it didn't feel like going through Undead Burg again at soul level 100. Like it doesn't feel like a victory lap, but I feel like I definitely knew how to kill all of these things, and like it wasn't really set up to be entirely difficult for me to do so. Like the encounter design here wasn't, I didn't think, over the top hard. So yeah. I kind of just cruised through this, and for whatever reason I didn't have a problem with the end boss either. So I never had to. I know we're going to talk about the run up and things like that, but I never really had that much of a problem with it. So I like this area a lot.
The run up thing we're talking about, because there's not a whole lot to the specific encounters here that we haven't seen before, is that in a game without really boss runs, this level gives you one. There is an obelisk, and it's a good like 5 minutes of play from the end boss, which did bug me. Like I did not have that hard of a time with the end boss. In like if the obelisk was right there, I wouldn't even think twice about it.
No.
It's just the fact that the run up was added to the boss that made it feel like too much to me. And I think I'm like a combination of things with the boss was, one is that I was definitely rushing a little bit, not because of deadline. Like I beat this game weeks, like a month ago, more than a month ago, but because I wanted to be done with it. Like I still was enjoying it, but I was like, I just need to see the end. Like these last two areas have sucked balls, and I would like to get to the ending of the game now. Right. I did not expect this postscript area. And then the other part of it is I think I was like pretty poorly spec'd for it. Actually, when I watched like online, watch people fight the end boss to refresh my memory, they're using launchers and killing him in like 6 hits, and it lasts 2 seconds. And the boss fight for me was actually pretty long. I had what I thought was a good sniper rifle that was fully upgraded, but it still wasn't doing quite enough damage to him to make it quick. It was still fairly slow. And as we'll talk about, like when you get to the boss, one of the things he does is make a lot of real estate super dangerous, which makes it hard to make space to heal.
Yeah. So I beat the final boss on one try, so the length of the run didn't actually bother me, particularly because it doesn't seem like there's an awful lot that stands between you and the last monolith and the boss door. Like, it's maybe...
There's about 5 minutes of sniper stuff. Like, I did it a bunch of times. There's like a long ramp with several snipers, like in little side alcoves.
Yeah.
And then at the top, there's a sniper rifle, and there are teleporting shotgun dudes kind of sprinkled throughout.
Yeah,
that area.
I remember the obelisk being like super close to the final door. It might have... Okay, so it's possible that they patched an obelisk in between when you played and when I played. No?
I checked it because I didn't check it, but like I went through on like the most recent patch, and it's I think if you, because the enemies are... this could just be like, you know, it's definitely farther than any boss run in the game, number one.
Okay.
And like if you get those two, there's several of the teleporting guys that spawn out, and you can easily get into a situation where if you're not going through and drawing them out, like the sniper guys, the teleporting guys will knock you down, and the sniper guy will hit you on the floor.
Yeah.
And there's probably like 4 of the sniper dudes and like a couple of teleporting guys sprinkled throughout of all of that stuff. So regardless of anything, like I didn't have a huge hard problem with it, and I'm not trying to like shame Gary for doing that. But it's the most egregious boss run in the game, and going through it a second time, I was like, oh yeah, this does feel way longer. And why am I having to do it? Like every other time, every other boss in the game, you just plopped. You control the obelisk. Like you can just tell me that there's a lore reason for it right there. I don't care. Yeah. Like, you know, but just, you know, send me right by Nalen's butt. Like, I mean, that's fine. Just put me right by the butt. I don't mind.
Yeah.
So I, as a design decision, like I don't know what they were trying to teach me with it, other than like you have to spend a few minutes getting to the end boss, and like we want it to be a little harder. But yeah, it is the longest boss run in the game, and it's kind of a weird thing to do when I feel like that was a lesson that they took from the previous games, that they were that you know, you shouldn't have to have those long runs. Like you should just be right there at the boss so that you can iterate on it. So
it felt like a design decision they had made.
Yeah, they demonstrated an understanding of that pretty much the entire time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And when you get to the boss, all the fluff stuff, like when you talk to him, all the things where he's, you know, the annoying scrabble of rotting hands has fallen silent. Those unwelcome visitors are cleaning a matter that I needed to create my stage. And you run up to him, and he's standing just kind of considering creation in this grand red vista and stuff. It's super cool. And, you know, he talks to you and he's like, come witness, you know, and it's really great. And then he turns into like, what is he?
He's an Indigo Prophecy.
He turns into a Bakugan or something. Yeah, he's an Indigo Prophecy Bakugan.
He's an Indigo Prophecies are really funny.
Yeah, like he turns into an Indigo Prophecy.
Yeah.
And then the boss fight is not super interesting.
Yeah.
You know, it's like it's not as well designed as RS. It's like, as far as stuff in the second half of the game, I'd put this about on par with Malog. Like it is worse than Iska, it's worse than Arlen, it's worse than RS. Like it's just not, it feels anticlimactic from a gameplay standpoint, even if it did take me a couple of tries. Like it wasn't because it was like super interesting or felt like it had new tricks. You know, he's a real letdown, I felt, as a dude, and this Nalen guy.
It's not presented as like this is supposed to be a stomp, so it's not even like true King Allant style. You know? Yeah, like he's a god of this realm. He should not be this easy to take down as he is. Could be a spec thing too. Again, like you mentioned, launchers being the way to get past him. I definitely walked in loaded for bear with the key to this encounter, so I might not be the best person to comment on it.
With automatic shotguns, it played out exactly the same way that most boss fights did. Of like I was sliding around waiting for an opening to get behind their back, and then shooting them in the back until my gun ran out of bullets, and then trying to reload and not get hit. I found a lot of his like ranged attacks, like the spikes that would come up, and the big AoE bomb and all that stuff. Like those were, I felt like they were like making me mix it up and like making me really pick and choose when I was going to heal or reload or anything like that. And didn't have a big difficult problem with him. I think I died like maybe once to him. But the second time came through and just went right through him. going through on a sniper rifle build was interesting because I didn't have enough time to like charge up the precision shot thing that does the most damage, so it took me a little bit longer than I expected to. And definitely the longer you're in that boss fight, like the more likely you are to get hit with those AoEs, and like the more shit that seems to start covering the floor and the light beams and all that stuff like could damage you. And it felt like much more of an endurance test. So
yeah,
well,
I don't like he has a big
hit.
Indigo prophecy.
Yeah. But I don't know what he has, this collection of just shapes and stuff, like a virtual on mech. The AoE bombs he does will one-shot you, which is annoying. I don't like one-shots in boss fights. He also, we didn't really talk about this, he makes a double. He makes a second version.
Yeah.
It splits into two. So it is a lot of area control stuff going on.
Mm-hmm. It's at least very kind. Like when he is charging up that bomb, it shows you exactly where on the ground it's going to hit. So that is kind. I'm happy they did that. If they were going to do an instant death, at least make it super, super clear where you do not want to be. Yeah. Yeah. This arena is great too. I mean, like you're fighting directly under the sun, and kind of pursuant to the Norse angle of this, or the Yggdrasil angle, you've got these trees with no roots just kind of hanging in the sky that look a little bit like airborne tumbleweeds, or kind of almost like nerves or neurons kind of hanging there. Additionally, like it's kind of a subtle transition, but like we are out of the fully polygonal, fully like bismuth or city kind of idea. Like it's become more organic. Like you can kind of see him filling in the details of the game world as he is making it from his seed of creation right up here. So like, again, from a theming point of view and from just like a visual point of view, this is top of the pops.
Yeah. It's cool. It looks really, really cool. If he looked cooler.
Yes.
As a entity, I think he does not look cool.
Right.
But other than that, it is definitely a cool set piece.
Even if you just fought him in his regular form as like a scrawny colossus.
Sure, scrawny colossus.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's kind of what he looks like.
I did one of those to
PD
Autumn
Rasputin.
last night.
Oh jeez.
What guys? It's a neck massage. Get your heads out of the gutter.
Yeah, no.
Peter Raspuni,
there
scrawny colossus.
The scrawny colossus. There it is.
So when you beat him, we get the ending. Let's talk about this ending.
So we should talk about who Nalon is. It's kind of surprising that he's here because it's been presumed that he's dead the entire time. Like he was the favored son of Nero, who was killed by Cathal, right? Super important because that leads right up to the ending. He has kind of gone into this world and become a god and started making a new one, because this is puppet masters on puppet masters on puppet masters. As he's dying, he kind of says like, hey, couldn't you see that I was trying to make a better world? And, prompted to speak, your character, your Cretan that you created morphs into Cathal.
Who also looks like a Cretan, just
yes.
FYI.
Yeah.
Like you turn to a demon Cretan. And you speak for the first time in the game, which is cool. Like being a silent protagonist, then all of a sudden speaking is a really kind of neat moment. Mm-hmm. And you lay out the twist, like you lay out the plot. Yep. I've been locked in the cell this whole time. It made me realize that we're all trapped by this prophecy, this kind of cycle of creation and destruction, which feels a little bit like meta commentary on Souls stuff to me. And then this weird kind of thing. He's like, oh, by the way, I actually hit you with this poison blade that made you crazy enough to put together this plan to create the 10th realm.
It poisoned your soul with this obsession.
That felt like a patched in piece of dialogue to me.
I mean, it also feels very Norse mythology, like any of those ancient mythologies.
Sure.
Like, I hit you with this poison that made you do exactly what I wanted you to do instead of just killing you.
For sure.
Yeah.
It's weirdly placed in the paragraph.
Oh yeah.
For the thing, and it's right before the cool twist that they do to the next one.
Yeah.
What were you gonna say, Jeremy?
I was just going to say that we call that in the business plot poison. That's what you get. That's what you need for that.
Yep.
You got plot poisoned. It made you do the plot.
Yeah. So Tathal says, like, okay, so while you've been doing this, I have my own epiphany. I needed you to create this distraction so I could enact my own version of the prophecy, destroying this universe in a way that neither Aris nor the oracles could foresee. Everybody is a slave to this prophecy. But he got around it, and I might as well just read this dialogue. You see, the oracles can only predict actions of beings from this universe. They cannot foretell the actions of a being from another. Therefore, I allowed myself to be controlled by such a being for this purpose. You were all just cogs in my plot. And you're thinking, are my ears burning right now? Because it sounds like he's talking about me. He then turns and faces the camera and finishes his thought. Oh, you were all just cogs in my plot, including you, whoever, whatever you are. And like them, you are no longer of any use. He is talking to the player. And he opens his hand and squeezes it into a fist. The screen goes black and you hear a noise that is like a monitor turning off. Mm-hmm. So to get around the prophecy, he turned himself into a video game character, allowed himself to be controlled so it would be unpredictable, and all of us were playing in so he could create this new world with no gods and no masters.
Mm-hmm. Do you think as the new god of creation and as a person that like created this video game for us to win him the universe, do you think he has any control over Steam sales, or do you think that's like the marketing department, or what do you think?
I think he hired a guy. He hired a guy.
he would want he'd want this game to go on sale as often as possible to have more people from the other realm to control. It is within his best interest to get more people to play this game. He's controlling us and making us podcast about it to get people to buy it.
I know, right? This is great. I love this so goddamn much.
I like it a lot. I feel like I had this distinct feeling during this twist when I realized what was going on, that if it had happened like 10 years ago, I would have like died. Like I would have gotten knocked on my ass and been like, whoa, you know. I feel like I've seen it. Like, I feel like the, talk to the player at the end, like, you've been complicit in the thing, is just something I've seen a little bit too often. This articulation is a little different. Like, the idea of, like, getting around a prophecy with it, which I think is cool. But I just felt a little bit like, this is something that's always welcome. I'm always happy to see it. It didn't feel quite as fresh as maybe I wanted it to, I guess.
Like initially I kind of bucked against it because this kind of meta thing, even though I've expressed a predilection for it, it can often be a shortcut to trying to seem more profound than it is. See also BioShock Infinite, because we are poisoned and broken by that game, right? You know, it achieves a certain amount of like, ooh, this must be smart and important because it's meta. However, even though I have seen this before, and even though it is totally like a thing, doing it in the context of a Souls-like, where especially, you know, Souls games being set in a fantasy style realm that, you know, is dictated by prophecies, right? You know, you'll venture forth from the asylum and ring the bells. That's interesting, and it doesn't fall into the, you know, the sin of prophecy pit because the prophecy is a hoax there, right? However, I love what Toadman is doing with this by making a comment that, like, yeah, prophecies are bullshit and are completely incompatible with video games. So we're going to make a game where everybody is bound by prophecy except for you as the player who are going to subvert it at every turn. Like, I think
it's
that
is
the
opposite of BioShock 1.
Kind of,
in a way.
Yeah.
You know, like, it's would you do what you want?
Yeah.
You know, instead of would you kindly, it's do what you want with my body, which is what he says to the player.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah, I think that is neat. I guess I just mean specifically the fourth wall breaking.
Oh yeah, like, when he turns and looks at you.
You know, like turning to the camera, turning off the monitor is a cool trick, but that part just feels very specific. And also, like, I felt a little bit like there was a disconnect. So like comparing it to Spec Ops, which, like, even just saying this, like, super indie, like, I love Spec Ops. I think it's a really important, cool game. And even comparing this kind of middle budget indie game to that, you know, is cool, right? Like, right. It speaks well of it. Is that game was more coherent throughout the whole thing with that theme?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, like, the thing that you said where you're like, they're doing this commentary on how in a video game prophecy is meaningless and you're in this game where everyone is controlled by prophecy. I didn't feel that during the course of the game very much. And I think it has a little bit to do with how earlier I was feeling how this game feels a little lore optional when you're in it, like how most of your game is most of the time you're fighting. The story and gameplay integration is very separate. Like you're literally just picking up unrelated notes that tell you the story. Yeah. Which then go into a menu you can read. Like it is not integrated very well. So like other versions of games where they comment on the player's actions in that way, the player's actions had more to do with the theme than this one did. Yeah. Here, like there's a little bit disconnected. It feels like a really neat trick that they kind of pull at the very end of the game and was only really meaningful for the very end of the game. And I didn't want a straight ending. I didn't want like, now that you've defeated it, the prophecy is subverted, back to my home where I'm going to sleep on my many, prime couches. I didn't want it to turn into Interpol song about how many couches he has. I just think that so I'm glad they did a subversion. I just felt like it wasn't quite like thematically cohesive enough.
Yeah. I wish that there was more integration. I definitely wish there was more integration. Yeah. If that was the thing that they had intended kind of the entire time. It's kind of something where if they lay too much track to it, it takes the oomph out of it when it finally hits. Like, the notion that everybody is trying to buck the prophecy and is suffering terrible consequences. Like, I could totally foresee the same thing happening to my character because he is Cathal, right? Like, if that was the thing they were trying to say. Well, that's what they were saying the entire time is nobody could escape it, and everything they did to escape it just made it happen anyway. Like, that was the story that they laid track for and then subverted it at the end. Yeah.
I guess it's more about, it's not so much that they didn't lay track for it. It's just the fact that the story itself is not very integrated into the game. And I don't think that's a problem either. I don't want more cutscenes. I don't want more mandatory lore. I didn't want more dialogue. It just ended up being like maybe a theme that is hard to rest on the shoulders of a Souls-like a game and a genre where you're going to be spending most of your time engaging with the systems. Yeah. And it's not that theme in general is hard to do that because obviously like Bloodborne exists, Dark Souls 1 exists. Like they are capable of the genre is capable of supporting it. This specific theme and the specific way they decided to handle storytelling in this didn't quite support as well as I wanted it to. So instead I kind of came away thinking like, oh, that's really neat. I didn't come away like, whoa. And I definitely didn't come away having like my heart or mind touched by it. I didn't come away from this feeling like there was a truth that I took away, which is another difference between this and say Bloodborne or Dark Souls, where I'm like, oh, this has thematic resonance with real life. Yeah. I mean, didn't feel that at all.
Maybe I felt like especially exalted at this because I hate prophecy in media. So like, fuck that. Anything that can get up under it and turn it over is a good thing. But that's not necessarily a truth about anything.
Yeah, it still comments on, it's like a meta media thing. And I do think there's a little bit of that to this with it being, when they talk about cycles, like making a game that's explicitly Dark Souls inspired and talking about cycles does feel very intentional. Yeah. What are your thoughts, Jeremy? Sorry if we've been dominating the convo.
No, it's okay. I wanted to let you guys get your opinions out so that I could dominate you with mine. No, I'm kidding. just joking. I'm a sucker for fourth wall breaking, especially as a surprise like this. So when Cathal turns towards the camera and starts talking to the player, like the moments leading up to that, I was kind of losing my mind about it. I was like, "Holy shit, this is so cool! This is so interesting. I'm kind of here for it." I've never been one to be able to like put together disparate piles of text into one overriding lore theory. So I had not picked up on hardly anything story wise than the game, other than what the game pretty much directly told you. So at this point I was like, yeah, okay, so I'm Cathal, like y'all made me kill my kids. I'm going to get revenge on like everything and try to bring it down. And when the three women pop up with the three prophecy chicks pop up and the Apex Citadel, I was like, I don't, like telling me your prophecy is like telling me the dream you had last night. I'm just going to immediately not pay attention to you. Yeah. Like I don't care. So by the time all of this stuff happened, I didn't have like any kind of theme or unifying lore theory or anything like that. He just turned to the camera and like snapped his fingers, and I was like, holy shit, that is so cool. I really enjoy it as an ending to this game because it's so easy to get into one of those things of like, I would have clearly, I think you can very clearly see in a time where the game ends and you wake up in chains again. Like, oh, it was all a trick. We fooled you, Cathal. Like you've been running the Immortal Unchained treadmill. Like, congratulations, you've earned us another 20 energy units or whatever Black Mirror-esque thing you want to come up with. So I was glad to see like this, which feels like an ending. Like it feels like, okay, this story is done. You don't really like, even if they develop these gameplay mechanics into a different direction, like I don't think you can really follow this up with Immortal Unchained 2, right? Like you kind of can't. Like there's nowhere else to go unless they were like, oh yeah, we were just kidding. We had a whole other universe on this fourth planet over here.
And the 11th realm.
Techno world. Yeah, it's the 11th realm all of a sudden. Yeah. So when I enjoyed it from that perspective of just turning to the camera, shutting everything off, and like that's the game. And I don't know, man, that was so much fun. Like, and I felt like the process of the moment that he starts talking to Naylan or whatever you want to call him. If I say Naylan, I want to call him Naylan Givens, like he's a character on Justified and he wears a cowboy hat, and I can't get that middle picture out of my head. But as you start talking to Naylan and you start shedding like your armor shrine stuff and like your character stops looking like the character that you designed at the beginning of the game, what the fuck is going on? Like that moment of surprise was so fun and so interesting that I'm kind of into it. And then I'll probably talk a little bit about this in the next episode when we're doing wrap up thoughts. But they do some stuff and some optional doors to kind of make you think that this sort of connection was possible from the beginning, and like there were people and figures throughout the history of this game that have been experimenting with this kind of like universe being able to go into another universe and like pull things from our own universe. So it's not completely out of the blue, but you do have to find like 30 Cerium decrees and go scour every single door you haven't opened to find that stuff. So
yeah.
It would be, I'm glad to hear that they lace a little bit more track with that part, because the one little part of the ending speech I think is very cool that's a little bit like to me is like, the oracles cannot control or cannot predict somebody from another world, and he kind of says it like it's a known thing, like, oh, they can't do this. I don't remember hearing reference to that. Like if I was trying to think of a way you could reference that without giving away the twist,
right?
And that would have been cool too, because I might have thought, oh, it's somebody from another world, but maybe not me. And he maybe wouldn't have just said it like a kind of a Bond villain speech at the end. Like everyone knows the oracles can't do that, but they can do this.
It's one of those things that I'm hesitant to even, because it's one of the things about the game that like going through all of those like in game doors, like you can kind of have your mind blown on some shit. It's most stuff that I'm hesitant even to talk about in a spoiler filled episode like this, but I definitely want to talk about it in the wrap up. I guess we could talk about it here too if you guys don't mind being spoiled on it. Like I don't really care where it goes, but there's one particular room that you go in, and not only do you find a second monolith, and the implication that some heretical priests have been making other monoliths to connect to different universes. Oh yeah. There's also a cow, like a fully animated cow, just like chilling, just sitting there like eating some grass. Weird. And then you go into a third room. And you go into a third room, and there's just a fucking brontosaur chilling, like a giant ass dinosaur just sitting there. And you're like, what? And all of this shit in this room is like pulled from different universes, and it's just like apparently there was one figure in the lore who like is a heretical priest and was trying to, or priestess, it was trying to like do some crazy universe shit, and the Prime shut him down. And like you get all of this weird stuff, and I'm like, what the fuck is this? But again, like you have to have those 30 Cerium decrees, and you have to scour every single possible door that you haven't opened and gone into to find that stuff. So
yeah, I really enjoy that. Like
cool.
All of a sudden, Immortal Unchained is missed.
Like that's a super cool idea. I wish I had seen that. That's really awesome.
Yeah.
I still think that I might have the feeling of like not having the kind of thematic or emotional core to the end, but at the same time, like that just ups the neatness factor of this by like 20, and it still ends up being like a cool ass ending for a video game.
Yeah.
Like I'm always going to want to have something touch my heart, especially if it's breaking the fourth wall and involving me. Like it feels like it's like, oh, like as a player, I'm culpable. If you're going to comment on that,
what are you saying about me as a human? Like, what are you saying about real life with that? You know, and that's one of those things I do think like BioShock 1 works with, and I think that you know, Spec Ops works with and stuff. But that's just awesome though. That sounds extremely cool to me, and I wish I had found them, and if I ever replay this I will make a point.
It I don't know, maybe my supposition is wrong about this, but like the stuff behind those end game doors almost feels post game to me. Like if you saw all of those and it would seem not to connect to anything, but then it was all wrapped up with that ending epiphany about how dogs can actually play basketball, then I think that would be the way to do it. I almost wish that was not like so hidden behind so many literal locked doors.
And yeah, that could be just the way that I approached it too, because after I killed Eris, I like, you look at that thing and you're like, oh, that's in game. So like before I even went in there, I was like, okay, well, like I have been a weird enough gamer to make notes on all these doors and chests, so I'm going to go clear all of that before I go into the end game. So like I had found all of those rooms, and there's a zoo somewhere where you can just see like models of all the enemies and everything like that. One of the other ones is like a cute little messages from developers. Like there's a room full of sarcophagi like in the furnace, and each one is like just a message from a developer. And you know, some of them quote Dark Souls, which like somebody quotes Laurentius from Dark Souls 1, which I thought was really cute. Nice. But definitely finding that one particular room with all of the mind-blowing shit, and then having him turn to the camera and go like, I'm done with you, was like, oh, okay. So some people have been doing some weird shit around here. I agree with you, Gary. Like the actual theming and like why that's important doesn't, like, I don't know that they build that case for that at all. But just like as far as like neat, weird, universal traversal shit that they're doing, I'm kind of here for it.
This is something that is kind of a wrap up thing, but it's worth talking about just while we're on this specific subject, is that like, on one hand, I also feel like it's maybe a little bit unfair of me to want, one of the things I really like about Immortal Unchained, I'll elaborate on this next episode, is that it is a modest product. And it is okay to extend that grace for its modesty to that theming. Like, you know, I tend to be like, I'm kind of a demanding media appreciator. Like I always want to think of how something can be better, even if I really enjoy it. And this is something where like, yeah, it is, you know, it's just kind of enough that it's maybe just kind of a badass, cool, you know, B-movie twist without having the thematic resonance that Dark Souls or a Bloodborne has. Like, I don't need to feel like, oh, this is something I'll think about every day for 2 months and apply to real life situations, and like look at some pigeon, you know, choking on a piece of corn and being like, that's Dark Souls to me. You know, like it doesn't have to be like that. It can have a modest thematic resonance as well. You know, if everything else can be modest about it and not really suffer for it, which I want to talk. That's definitely a wrap up thing I want to talk about next episode.
Can I just real quickly explain myself, because it feels like I came out of nowhere hot and heavy with like prophecies suck. Can I just give like the 2 sentence the 2 sentence reason why that metatextual twist worked for me, at least my interpretation of it? So if you in any media where there is a prophecy about how a hero is going to rise and save the world, etc., and the main character or the character you play as just happens to be the person of prophecy, then that takes away all agency from you. Your success has been foretold, and there is almost no interest really aside from hitting all of the stations of the cross on the hero's journey. So any piece of media that will look at a prophecy and either subvert it by saying the prophecy is a sham, such as Dark Souls 1 does, or kind of leave it vague as to whether or not the prophecy is true and let you decide how far you're going to adhere to it like Morrowind does, or in this one literally say the prophecy exists, it is there, and you can roll your eyes whenever it pops up, but the cool thing is that you as a player, you have agency, and therefore it doesn't really apply to you. That is a very cool and new way to handle a prophecy in video games that does not take away your agency and instead kind of works with one of the strengths of video games as a medium. The thing about video games as a medium, which is your actions, you know, determine what happens, you know. That is my that is where I come down on it. So that is why I've got like a hate on for that particular trope.
No disagreement as far as that trope sucking balls. Like I do not like prophecies at all. It's interesting that I guess like where my hesitance is, and I'm not trying to battle ending Pokemons about this, because it's ultimately us talking about degrees of things we both liked. You know, like is just that, like, so if the thematic resonance from this is that as a video game, like, you do have that agency that subverts the prophecy, that is such a limited truth.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like the would you kindly thing is still true. Like, you are still at one end of a hallway and you have to make your way through the other to complete the game. Like, it still has that Spec Ops, like, you have to play the game. Like, the way to win would be to turn it off. Like, that is the actual real life truth part. This involves like a magic circle kind of buy-in for that, you know, to believe that the player, like, you're buying into the fiction. Like, it works within the fiction. Like, you know, the player did all those things, or the character that the player controlled did all those things. Yes, they mattered in the game fiction, you know, and I agree with that. And I also like prophecy being taken down a peg because prophecy sucks.
Yeah.
And it's lazy.
We're both
extremely lazy.
we're both agreeing. The limits on that truth were sufficient for me to say that, yes, that was a satisfying thought expressed in a way that I appreciated. Yeah. So. Yeah, so I just wanted to get that out before we wrapped up and went on to the next actual wrap up. Yeah,
for sure. Like, and especially if you're just like, yeah, prophecies fucking suck.
Yeah,
like somebody's out there probably being like, I'm a prophecy. You know, I like the prophecy. I like Christopher Walken.
Like those old fashioned bicycles, huh? Yeah,
yeah. Somebody's probably. But yeah, they're and it's also I'm also done as far as video game tropes. I also don't like messiahs.
Yeah.
I don't want to ever play as a messiah again. Like in the Slack, we were talking about Dragon Age Inquisition, and I just like immediately got grossed out by like, Lord and Savior of the world, will you please go collect these 10 herbs? Like,
the only messiah that I'm interested in playing in the near term is being a dark messiah of might or magic.
Yes, or playing as Jesus Christ in Wisdom Tree Classics. Anywho, that's the episode. We'll be back in 2 weeks' time with our finale.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you very much, Jeremy, for hopping in on this one.
Not a problem. Thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure to be here and to get to chat with you two dudes about some Souls or Souls adjacent properties.
Yeah.
What podcasts do you do that are not on the Duckfeed.tv network, Jeremy?
The podcast closest to most people that would be listening to this is Don't Give Up Skeleton. It's an interview podcast about people's experiences with the Souls games and kind of everything around that. Both of you have been on that show before, so you can go look at episode I think it's 29 and 30 maybe. But I've had a wide range of people on that show, from, you know, relatively famous game media people to famous rappers to just like people that have not ever been on the internet before almost. I don't know when this is coming out, but I've got an episode coming out soon, episode number 169, which we're calling Spice, which is a group of women who are shippers and fanfic writers and artists that are kind of have been hated on by the Souls fandom for just the stuff that they like and liking stuff innocently. So talking about, you know, what they called old men and monster fucking. So please enjoy episode 169 of that.
That's good. I like that as a concept for an episode. Yeah.
For everyone else listening, thanks for patronizing Duckfeed.tv.
Yeah.
Yay!
We'll be back with those Yay, we're back, baby. We'll be back with that. And Sekiro, we know it's coming out.
Yep.
Get ready.
Get ready
for that Sekiro, baby.
Oh, it's going to be here.
We are approaching ready.
Yep.
Yeah. And the only thing you can really do for us is tell your friends and stuff. You're already supporting the network, which means a lot to us. If you want to tell your friends, you can. And that's probably about it.
Until then, Umbasa.
Umbasa.
And we all pray that we will have far more soon. Some of our landings were desperate adventures. We are now prepared to meet the inevitable counterattacks with power and with confidence.
My name is Gary Butterfield.
My name is Cole Ross.
My name is Jeremy Greer.
And you're listening to Bonfireside Chat. It is an immortal favorite, the last immortal favorite.
Yes.
The next favorite will be another kind.
a different sort of favorite. And this week is our wrap-up episode about Immortal Unchained. Welcome back, Jeremy.
Thanks for having me again, y'all. I really appreciate it.
Yeah. Well, we appreciate you, everything you do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I do a lot.
It's one of those things where if I call out a specific thing, I worry it will sound like I don't appreciate the other things.
Don't worry about it. Yeah, I feel that way all the time. So, like, if you say like, I get into this with Don't Give Up Skeleton a lot, where I was about to create a page. It was like recommended episodes because there's like 160 of them now, and I'm like, well, if I put like Gary and Cole there. Like will Chris get mad if I don't put Chris there?
Right.
So I definitely know that anxiety, that fear of pissing people off. Yeah.
Jeremy, I only appreciate how tall you are.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay. So, cool. Excellent.
Everything else is mild degrees of tolerance. But tight height, bro.
Yeah. Sure. Tight.
Tight height. Coolest thing you can say to somebody. Tight height.
So aside from talking about our relative heights, kind of the remit of these wrap-up episodes is to speak with somebody who has a lot to say about, the game that we've covered, right? As opposed to getting a guest on each individual episode. And also to read your responses that you sent in to us.
And to get well over 18 feet of podcaster on one podcast.
Oh yeah.
Ooh. Like just imagine
look at all
we
that
Mecha
podcaster.
Shiva it into the like fucking Mecha Shiva into the podcast halls of podcasts and just be like, whoa. like we are the sheriff of sucking you off. We're extremely tall. You know?
I gotta say, I would like to be be at the head of this particular podcast centipede. You guys can be straight up behind me.
Done.
Okay, yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, done and done. So let's talk about Immortal Unchained as a whole. Yeah. Now that we are at the end, and Jeremy, I'm gonna have you kind of start and maybe lead this a little bit since you are our guest and the person who more or less like turned me and Cole onto it.
Sure. So I want to take this opportunity, number one, to shout out our friends over at Twin Humanities for introducing this this game to me in the first place. It was their 2 episodes that they did after finding the game. Notably, Patty saw a YouTube ad and didn't click through it somehow. I don't know how that happened, but then saw this game and was like, I'm willing to check that out. And did so, and both of them kind of got addicted to it and played through it all. I was on the 3rd episode that they covered it, where we talked a lot about the game, kind of initial thoughts and things like that. So I just wanted to say thank you to them for introducing it. I also want to shout out their recent Game of the Year episode. They performed a song for every game on their top 10 Game of the Year list.
It's ridiculous.
Patty's version of Unchain My Heart was absolutely brilliant and amazing. And it's definitely worth looking up just to hear him crooning Unchain My Heart. So, but yeah, playing this for the first time, I was kind of drawn into at the beginning. Like I like the mechanics. I like shooting. I like the idea of like souls with guns, which had been something that comes up on Don't Give Up Skeleton quite a bit, but I never really thought would be good or even possible. So playing it, getting through that first area, getting into Viridian. But when it really, really grabbed me was the Apex Citadel, Apexion, where, just that weird, Tron, like purple Tron, basically. And then the thing that really cemented me was getting into the furnace, starting to find these doors to other parts of the world, and realizing like the trip up to Iska, being like learning about the Queen of Death, learning that she's been making these souls into these enemies and this army of the undead, realizing that those portals are probably there so that she can transfer the souls of the undead or these undead army dudes into those other areas for nefarious purposes, and like realizing how that all tied in, and that combined with like the tenseness and the difficulty, like just fucking sold me. And then from that point on, I was hooked. So I was able to overlook almost all of the negative things about this game. Like, I think that it's definitely a game made by a small team of people. I think there's like 30 people at that studio. They've done an amazing job of, after the game releasing, supporting that with new features and with bug fixes and all kinds of rebalances and stuff like that. I think it's a much more playable game now. If either one of you checked out the new tutorial level, it is absolutely amazing. Like, one of the biggest things that I heard about this game is like, wow, I turned it on and it's so generic and it's all gray blocks and it just looks kind of ugly and nothing really makes sense. And they really, if this is where they're going with their other games, like if they're going to put this level of polish and this level of like graphic intensity into their games going forward, like I'm 100% here for everything that Toadman makes from now on. It's just good all around. But I was able to overlook all of the small, kind of niggling things. The first time that I got blown up in Belly Flap Swamp, and then I got knocked on my ass, and then like 5 dudes jumped on me and killed me while I was on the ground, was super frustrating. And I was like, boy, Gary's not going to like this whenever it happens to him. But I was, but even then, like I was still very, very much into it. And like we talked about in the last episode, the fourth wall breaking at the end, the weird stuff that you can find throughout the game world, like all of that just really, really impressed me. And I'm really happy that you guys enjoyed it and that had a chance to talk about it, especially over multiple episodes. Like I originally pitched this to you guys for a watch out for fireballs, which I think would have been a really good fit for it. Like I think you guys probably could have covered most of it, but I'm super glad we got the up close Bonfireside chat look to the game. So
yeah, that new tutorial is really good. You reminded me that it happens, that they put that out earlier today. So I went and spent 20 minutes playing through it. And I think that it definitely speaks to maybe a little bit like they designed the tutorial first and then did a bunch of other really cool stuff. And then like it shows that like maybe possibly the best tutorials are made last, right? I have no idea if that's actually the case. That's just the way that I read it, by how much better the new tutorial is than the first one. And I didn't have like a real problem with the first tutorial. Just the new one, like it is kind of laid out and you can see the decisions about the stuff that they are trying to teach you and show you in a way that I really appreciated.
Yeah. They also, I mean, pretty much the whole thing is like vertical is all vertical now. And the way that enemies will fly in as opposed to just like spawning in, like literally crash these jet pods like around us. I think all of that stuff is super cool. And I told someone the other day that it almost sets up the game to be something that it's not. Like you're not gonna see that level of interesting, just from an art perspective. You're not gonna see that until maybe Viridian, but especially Apexion.
Yeah.
It's interesting because the new tutorial, which is like definitely better, is an interesting trade-off, because I feel like the first tutorial, what they were going for was this exceedingly grim, like crawling yourself up from nothing kind of feeling with it. And then just, maybe just a wider base of playtesters being like, yeah, it's really visually bland though.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't, and they traded maybe what they were going for before and realizing like, actually we weren't getting across that idea. Let's get across something that is at least more exciting.
Yeah.
Which is a good trade. Like it's smart to do that. The new tutorial is an improvement, because that is a thing that I also had that first impression where I was like, this is a lot of gray corridors.
Yeah.
And it's not too long in the first level before you go back to some corridors.
Right.
It's really interesting the way this is structured as far as introducing its visual interest solidly in the back half of the game. For the most part, like, or at least like the back middle, like until you get to the Skyways, even Viridian, which is a forest, still just feels like a video game forest. Like until you get to Tronland, it's nothing super distinctive. And until you get to the Carnal pits or whatever, the thing with the sarcophaguses, it doesn't feel atmospheric. Like it's a very weird game as far as where the appeal is put, like where the hooks are for it, But I think it's a testament. I had a similar experience, at least to Jeremy, where like going through it just felt like it worked enough to keep me engaged early on, to get me to those parts that were even more engaging, having that doing it at range, which we talked about in the first episode, like doing a range Souls-like, just works so much better than you would think, and is just especially I feel like playing this after Neo and playing it after the Ringed City, also just easing down a little bit on the difficulty. Like, this is a tough game, but it's not as tough as either of those games. Right. It doesn't feel unfair at very many points. And even though there are those things where you get knocked down and get hit while you're down, it generally doesn't do that. Like, that kind of gentleness, like tough but still fair gentleness, and that visual interest slowly creeping up was a real way to like kind of get me to get hooked into it and feel that kind of intense draw to keep playing, you know?
Yeah. There's any number of really smart and canny decisions that they made to make the range combat feel like it has the rhythm of Souls, which is kind of the most important thing. To me, at least, right? You know, they make the range combat feel like melee combat because of, you know, cooldowns and charge ups and telegraphs and, you know, the things not being hit scan. Like, there are a lot of traps they could have fallen into. I definitely feel like you do about the difficulty in this. It wouldn't be as satisfying if the way that they toned it down, though, was just numerical, right? Like, in a way, the way that the series got, you know, the way that the main Soulsborne series got bad was because stuff just had way too many phases, way too much HP, et cetera, et cetera. But also, like, there was a certain amount of complexity and meta complexity added to just the movesets of the bosses and the enemies and stuff. Like, stuff was designed specifically to fuck you for thinking that you knew what you were doing. It was so refreshing going back into this, you know, especially with the boss fights, which could probably be seen as like being, you know, just way too easy. You know, for people who are way into the difficulty aspect of this. It was so great, though, for me personally, to go to a Dark Souls 1 level of complexity where each boss kind of had like 4 or 5 moves and used them in interesting ways, and I could kind of hold it all in my head, and I didn't feel like I was like playing 3 levels of chess against a designer who wanted to like trip my fingers up, you know?
Yeah.
Just like just the ways that they eased it up. Yeah, it's a first entry. Yeah, so it's a first entry for sure. But just the ways that they decided to keep things approachable while still feeling meaty. Like, in no world would I say that this is like an easy game overall. I just feel like it is incredibly well tuned, and if you know, it feels like it's made by people who appreciate the things about the play of Souls that I personally appreciate. Right.
Yeah, like totally when I say agree. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Like when I say first entry, it's like we talked about it a lot, but like starting with Bloodborne a little bit in the Dark Souls 2 DLCs, the Soulsborne games have gotten into a difficulty arms race where each game, instead of starting as an alternate start for a new series, even Bloodborne ups the challenge considerably in a way that, like, if you had not played any Souls games before, would be a rude awakening. Yeah. Right? Like, and I like Bloodborne. This is not me saying that game is overall too hard. It just ups that challenge quite a bit. It doesn't feel like a new entry. This feels like something that is a quote from the Daughters of Ash guy. And like when we eventually cover that, I have a lot of things to say about Daughters of Ash. Yeah. Is that he's like, oh, this is meant to be not a new challenge mode. This is meant to be an alternate beginning, like a different kind of Dark Souls. Like, you know, this is the way. I think there's a quote where he says like, this is the way the developers would have done it if they could.
Man, that would be cool if that was the case.
Yeah, that is a odious thing to say. Don't necessarily quote me on that. I have to find that quote. I think somebody passed me that. Yeah. But that doesn't feel like that.
No.
Daughters of Ash is incredibly harsh and difficult. This feels like an alternate Demon Souls or an alternate Dark Souls in terms of scalability and difficulty. Like, it is an opening start that is different. It's not just to your point, Cole, like no one would ever call it too easy, but it's also not just a carbon copy. Like, one of the reasons why I feel like the Soulsborne games got into that difficulty race is because, we don't want to just do, you know, Asylum Demon again. Like, we can't just keep doing these ideas. We have to find new ways to iterate on them. And after 5 games, like, we might not have that many ideas on how to do this in the system without just adding more phases.
Yeah.
And, you know, they're out of gimmicks and stuff. By adding kind of range combat to this, like, you have this whole new set of kind of available modes, because even if the bosses don't have new gimmicks, like the bosses in this feel like they could be Souls bosses to me, like early Souls bosses. Since the player's verb set is so different, you can then kind of redo those Asylum demon level complexity bosses, you know? And that doesn't give the developer Toadman enough credit, because like they made up their own thing. None of these things are carbon copies of anything from Dark Souls.
Right.
But you can take something like, you know, a boss like the Ravager Commander or something like that, which is just not that complicated or special, and just make it feel fresh because what the player is doing is different.
Yeah.
And it recontextualizes it and kind of keeps it right sized as far as difficulty and approach.
Yeah, totally agree. And I think that, you know, I shared your opinions on Dark Souls 3, especially the DLCs. Of that's not the way that I want to play. I don't want to go fight Midir. And guess what? I still haven't. Like I have a Dark Souls podcast, and I've never killed Midir.
Yeah.
You know, at me Twitter bros. I don't care.
High five, buddy.
Yeah, he's at Plumber Duck. If you want to,
at Plumber Duck, yes, at 100%.
Yeah.
But you know, this game like felt, especially the boss encounters with, because all of them with one I think exception had really easy run ups. They were easy to iterate on. They had pretty clear tells. Like I felt like anytime I died to a boss, it was because either I was still learning their moveset and they surprised me, or I didn't know that a melee would do 99% of my health, and that was a bad thing. So never get caught in a melee hit, or just, you know, I'm learning. Like I'm still learning the boss. It never felt like I was grinding against a watchdog of the old lords, for example, of just, you know, getting one shot in no matter what my health was. And that stuff that's all very gratifying for me as someone who really, really likes going back to Dark Souls 1 and the satisfaction of, you know, clipping that Asylum demon and realizing like, oh, I took off with an unupgraded weapon. I took off like an eighth of his health, and that's a lot. Like that's a good amount of health to take off on a first boss. So, I was very pleasantly surprised with that. And then all of the stuff that they do that's different than Souls or similar to Souls and everything, I think works really well. And I think it's very much a first outing for a game developer. Like they've worked on other stuff before, obviously, but I think this is their first like big attempt to do a game by themselves. And I'm just really excited to see what kind of follow-ups they're going to do. Like I'll like, if this is their Demon Souls, which I've heard that expression thrown out several times. If this is their Demon Souls, like I cannot wait to see their Dark Souls. Right.
No.
Yeah. What that plays into for me, like, I agree. Like I have the exact same optimism and stuff. And one of the things that makes us feel like a patina that covers the whole thing that I really appreciate is, and I alluded to it last episode, is this like kind of degree of modesty to it.
Yeah.
You know, like it feels like it is a small team. It is an early big project for them. It has this sense of lack of grandeur to it that I always kind of appreciate in games. You know, my previous like touch point for this is always Shadowrun Returns.
Yeah. Which
to me is like a B+ game, but never wanted to be more. You know, never has grand designs to be more than that.
Yeah.
And this feels like that to me too. Like that's about where I'd put this. Like a really good game. It's about where it lands. It's really promising for future efforts, and it doesn't it does a bunch of things incredibly well, like very, very deftly. It doesn't reach for the absolute stars and fuck up, and it doesn't try to include every single thing, you know, and the kitchen sink into the game. Like it feels like this triumph of modesty.
Yeah.
Like a middle A, like a double A game, you know, a single A game. Yeah. And that's like a really cool place to be.
Yeah.
That was one of the things that originally got the Twin Humanities boys so excited, is because both of them had bounced off of some of the big AAA releases during the time period where this came out, and were kind of disillusioned with AAA gaming in general. And I've heard Pad talk about this several times of, you know, the days of the PS2 era where you would find these like solid B tier games, and they were a fucking video game. You know, they weren't trying to you know, have a grand story or anything like that. They were just people just wanted to make a weird video game. So they made a weird video game, and you would run it and you would beat it and you would return it and you were done. Like it was a weird experience. And I feel like this kind of harkens back to those days of, you know, not every game needing the $70 million worth of polish, or, you know, horse balls contracting or expanding based on the temperature. Like it can just be a video game. And I think that's fine. I think you made a really good point too, Gary, when talking about the the kind of ending stuff of the ending scene, like the big twist at the end during the last episode of like, I don't. What you said really struck home with me. I didn't need it to be anything more than that. Like, I don't need it to be supported by a grand theme or even like a commentary on like what it is to play a video game. I just thought it was cool, and like that's a lot of this game for me. Is I just think it's dope as hell. Like, I like shooting guns. Like, I don't need a justification of why there's like something literally called a shotgun in this completely like vaguely sci-fi like alternate universe. Like, you can just call it a shotgun. Like, it's fine. I know what a shotgun is. Let's go. Let's roll with it. So yeah, like that solid like the aspiration, the modest aspiration, I think is really important to this game.
So, I mean, having played this and gone and, I sought out some reviews, and just the reception that this got is so incongruous with my experience, right? And I understand that talking in this review about other reviews, it's a little bit meta, but like to that point about the modesty, like that just like it doesn't seem like that modesty can even fly, even if a lot of people might say they want that, right? In the first episode, I talk about a sense of polish bias or whatever it is, not polish bias, but I don't know, just a complete jank averseness that that people bring even when they are looking at a modest product, right?
Yeah. It's really interesting too, because when people do that, when they fall into that, which is what happened, right? Like, I ended up reading a bunch of reviews, and then I watched some YouTube reviews of this where people were essentially dinging this extremely hard for that lack of polish.
Yeah.
What I think, and I've talked about this since like episode 1 of Watch Out for Fireballs, like this whole idea of that polish costs a lot of money. Those budgets are unsustainable. In order for developers to want to take risks to get that much money, everything is going to turn to Anthem. Everything is going to turn to Fallout 76. Everything is going to be a lifestyle, multiplayer, always online, loot-based game, because that is where sustainable money is at that scale.
Yeah, not just sustainable money, but 100x. Not just 10x, but 100x.
Yeah, exactly. It's not even the whole idea that there's not enough money for these fucking ghouls is a totally different thing. But like, you end up with studios like things like Arcane, or you look at Squaresoft, the people who did the new Deus Ex games and stuff, these single player games that don't sell very well, that are modest in terms of length and included content, even if they do have a little bit more polish than something like this, and they sell like dick. When people refuse to allow for this middle space, that is what you're asking for. Like, that's the alternative.
Yeah.
If everything has to be that level of polish and up, like this has to be FromSoft polish and up for my Souls likes, like you are that you're voting for a worse world for video games. And I'm not saying people need to accept Lords of the Fallen.
Yeah.
Like, we can go a little bit higher than that. Like, there's still separating this polish bias from like legitimate good or bad game design is difficult but important. Like, everyone can design good games. It doesn't take more money to do better design.
Yeah.
There are indie games, there's Downwell. Like, it is, there's everything Tom Francis makes. Like, you can solo make these really, really well-designed games. It just maybe give up some of your fucking boner for polish for 2 seconds. Like, if somebody, if a hitbox is not perfect, like this, I'm going to go to YouTube and just drag this fucking thing.
I saw a tweet that's like the second somebody who's talking about a movie says it's full of plot holes, the characters don't go anywhere, or the story doesn't go anywhere, and the characters have nothing to do, you can safely ignore them because they have YouTube poisoning. I think that there's YouTube poisoning for like looking at hitboxes that don't line up. There are hitboxes that can ruin an experience and make a fight bullshit, but like it's a little bit like the like the Steam people who you will like downrate a game because it doesn't have 60 frames per second or whatever.
Exactly.
At this point, I'm flailing wildly at people on the internet that I don't like, but there certainly is like just a YouTube poisoning that happens and is actively asking for a worse world.
It's a real thing.
The reviews and stuff, I still find just like I went through and read some of those too, because as soon as I started talking about this game on Twitter, like the first thing that I would get from people is, oh wow, I looked at Metacritic and this game sucks. And I'm like, I mean, sure, like, and I don't ever look at Metacritic. I hardly ever read reviews for games and use them as purchasing decisions. Like I don't look at stuff like that. Like generally, I play so few games, and I'm pretty well aware of my taste and what people in the games media that I follow's taste, that like I can ferret out pretty quick like what I'm going to like and what I'm not going to like. But just reading those, I was like, did we play the same game? Like I know they patched a bunch of stuff in, but like some of the stuff that they were complaining about, I just didn't get. Like and yeah, I mean, I not to go on like a video game reviews should be this or should be that or anything, but man, like don't. Like, I think that's my issue. My takeaway from this game more than anything is like, just don't rely on other people to tell you that a game is bad at all times. Like there could be something there that you would like if you gave it a shot. And I'm happy that the game seems to have picked up a little bit. Like there's more and more people joining that Discord server. I think I joked on the Twin Humanities podcast that my Don't Give Up Skeleton Discord server had more people than their full games. Sure. And I think they finally broke that record. I think they finally got there, which they should. Like they deserve more recognition than my podcast about Dark Souls. But yeah, like I'm glad that the game seems to be taking off and they seem to be keeping it afloat and everything. I just like, man, like they seem to be doing all of the right things. Like here's a Souls-like with an interesting hook. Lobos did a stream of it. I think Sunlight Blade, like they got people from the Souls community to like try to show the game off, and it just did not hit at all. And until like word of mouth started spreading around, which is really crazy to me. Like I don't know what it is about this game specifically where, you mentioned Lords of the Fallen, like Lords of the Fallen like got held up like it was the second coming of fucking Dark Souls. Like where was that hype for this, or where is even the backlash for this that Lords of the Fallen got?
Is that this is in the wake of the backlash of Lords of the Fallen.
Yeah.
So like this is done no favors by one, coming after Lords of the Fallen.
Yeah.
Which everyone's like, oh, we've been fooled. Two, coming after the wake of Neo, which like I don't like Neo. I like this game a lot more than Neo, but Neo was very popular and very polished and put together. So people were like, learn two lessons. Like one, Souls likes don't have to be good. Two, they can be like really polished.
Right.
Yeah.
And
that did this really no favors. And like, I mean, I guess the other thing I wanted to say about your point though, about the reviews thing is that like, I agree with everything you said. At the same time, like you do have to have some kind of metric for like having, if you could only have so much money, you only have so much time in a day. I don't think you can just like randomly throw dartboards at a thing and just kind of try new games in case, poorly reviewed games in case they work out, but I think what I would like to see more people do, I guess, is look past that Metacritic score. Like I just went to Metacritic for this game. I've only heard of one outlet that reviewed this. Right. Yeah. So it's not like, and that's what gives it the reputation. The actual user reviews are all really high. The official review kind of score and the official thing that's dominating, like, oh, I heard this was bad, is 8 just a total of 8 different review sites, one of which I've heard of, and almost all of which are like overseas, which doesn't mean that they're worse, but it means I can't read the fucking review, to see what it says and stuff. And it's like, I think this is one of those things that's a casualty of like, just like Metacritic being fucking awful.
Yeah.
Like for the industry, Metacritic specifically is gross. I would like to read when a game comes out. I like going to a website, that I trust and reading reviews of stuff and just being like, oh, this is, and you read for content, not score. And you read stuff that the writer, and that can be extremely useful. This game didn't even get that though.
No.
This isn't like a Fallout 76 situation where like that game is a fucking travesty and got rounded for it. Got totally dragged for it. This isn't like that. It didn't even get a chance. Like it got strangled in the crib before that even happened.
Yeah.
That's the tragedy of it.
Yeah.
Super bummer, because it does deserve more. And I really hope, the other thing too, I guess, that just because somebody will mention it to us, if not, is that I think that the game, and I can't fault the developers for doing this. I just think purely in terms of more people playing it, it did not do itself any favors by coming out at $60. I don't blame them for charging that much. I feel good about the amount of money I spent on this game.
Yeah.
It doesn't have the look of something that should cost that much, and our perceptions as to what games should cost are really fucked.
Yes.
And this game, I feel like, is another victim of that. Like, a lot of people saw it, and one, I think that scared a lot of people off. Two, it set a lot of expectations. People were like, $60, I should get a Neo level of polish.
Yeah.
For a Neo level price.
Mm-hmm.
So
that was always the second thing after the Metacritic thing was like, why is this game $60? And I'm like, because they wanted to sell it for $60. Like, I don't know what to. There are no ethical video games in capitalism, dog. Like, I don't know what to tell you about this.
Like, I can't decide what your money is worth to you, but that doesn't mean you get to decide what money is worth
for everybody.
Period.
To them.
It doesn't mean,
or to the devs for sure.
Definitely. But like to say this is not worth $60 because he doesn't get on the ladder right is a little bit, I don't know.
Totally. Like that is a weird set of circumstances, like, or a weird set of standards. Very disappointing.
Yeah.
People, we deserve a better class of gamer. This hobby deserves a better class of fan, like in some very real ways. Like, not that and if people are listening to this and they tried it and they didn't like it, like, that's not my point. Like, it makes tons of sense to just have different taste, and to maybe you like didn't dig this. Like, I'm sure some people are like, I can't, how did you guys like this and not Neo? What the fuck? Like, that probably has happened.
Yeah.
It's cool if you don't like it. Like, it is fine, but it's more that the fact that we're talking more about the context of like how it was presented and marketed and the chance it got in the court of public opinion, and that being generally not super fair.
Wowie zowie. So I went to a competitor to Metacritic, GameRankings.com. The PS4 version only has 5 reviews, none of which I've heard about. The Xbox One version has 4 reviews, 3. Like, no site got a hold of this.
Yeah.
They got just completely ignored in the modern press, which is really fucking strange to me. Like, it's anytime that you see like a game like this that's a Souls-like, usually gets at least like a couple of headlines.
Yeah,
like,
or it's talked about for fucking years before it comes out.
Even that Twitter account, like X Meet Start Souls or whatever, didn't even do a thing on this game because nobody wrote about it, so there was nothing for him to tweet about. Like, it's ridiculous. So I feel like a lot of that is just, it's a relatively unknown developer, making a game with a weird setting with not a whole lot of money and with not a lot of people. So like, you can't lean on the graphics or sizzle to sell your game. And like, a lot of the stuff about it, like, I mean, it really clicked with me, but like you said, Gary, like, it's not going to click with everybody, but it also doesn't make it a shitty game if it doesn't click for everybody. Like, that's a solid like B game. Not everybody clicked with Mr. Mosquito either, but still some people really like that game.
I will be really curious how many posthumous reviews are done, like or how, if there will be like revised reviews later on. Like, I can see this game getting God-handed pretty hard in about 5 years.
That's the hope, right? So what would happen is the ideal arc for these guys that I want, because I desperately want them to keep iterating on some of the skills they've shown here.
Yeah.
Not just because I liked it. To me, there's no guarantee that what they'll do next will be great. It's just it feels like a bet I want to take because I like this so much.
Yeah.
To do that, they need to make another thing that does have a little bit of that crossover appeal, and then people will come back to this.
Yeah.
Like, that would be awesome. Whenever they make, and so I guess like before we get, to the responses and stuff, I mean, I didn't want to cut everybody off, but I wanted to throw a question to the room, which is like, what do you want to see next from the developer? Like, how would you like to see them iterate on this? What things do you want to see improve? What features would you want to see, etc.?
I mean, so the characters, if they could get on ladders better. No, sorry.
First of all, frame rate and depth of field. Those are my two.
Yeah.
If those two things were running for president, they'd have my vote. The frame rate, depth of field, Total Biscuit Memorial presidential ticket now gets my vote.
Yeah, so, I that was shitty and unconstructive. I just wanted to make an easy joke. I will step back and actually compose a thought.
Ladder or get the fuck out. That's what I'm here for.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't mean to be non-constructive. Sorry.
But how about a real fucking answer, Ross?
How about a real answer? No. So it's really tough to say, right? Like, I would like to see them work on their economy, not like, what your Souls can be spent on or whatever, but like literally the stuff we were talking about in the previous episode, I would like them to get confident enough to make their levels shorter and more dense and just kind of rely on the initial presentations of their ideas rather than feel like they need to get something out to a whole length, right? So an economy of design, an economy of space, an economy of, just kind of like tasks and enemies, because this game, for as much as I enjoyed it, it did fall down in those, fractured void, seat of the Senate moments, right? Like if they could learn a lesson from this, it is that we can do less and better. Regardless of like the subject matter that they choose for the next one, or regardless if they, do the same but more, that is a lesson that they can learn, focus and sharpen.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah.
Would love to see that. Even just like, shorter levels, same length of game would be fine with more levels.
Yeah.
More biomes. And I understand that's a budgetary thing, and this is all wish list stuff. Like more biomes and more bespoke ideas. Mm-hmm. Like the early areas of this, some areas in this game feel like they're exploring an idea very specifically. Sometimes like the Senate halls, are exploring really big spaces with snipers at the end of them. Like it's not particularly interesting. I would want to see them kind of push and really, really just kind of explore more interesting ideas more fully and more often.
Yeah.
In terms of level. Totally agree.
I'd want to see a little bit more of a surfacing of the actual like lore and story. Like I know Dark Souls has made it very fashionable to hide a bunch of that and to tell stories through item descriptions and things like that. And I think they did an okay job with that, but there's just so much of it here. Like just, and I know writing lore is probably the cheapest way to do it. Like not to disparage writers or anything, but like writing a paragraph on the back of a Post-it note and attaching that to a shotgun is way easier than say like designing an NPC. But I want more NPCs. Like I want more direct storytelling, because I think they have a good story here. They have a good universe. Mm-hmm. And I think they may have done themselves a disservice by hiding all of the lore stuff and like just a crazy amount of collectibles. On my second run through, I wanted to, I decided I was going to get that lore trophy. And when I got to the end of the game, I was, after like scavenging everything and like really scouring the levels, I only had like a third of them. And like that was somebody who was familiar with the game and who kind of knew where to look around and still like didn't get all that stuff. And that's a lot of wasted potential to me. Like another NPC or more NPCs or just, bosses that talk to you. I've always liked bosses that talk to you. So stuff like that is where I would want to see them go.
Yeah, I don't know that it gains a lot from trying to ape that Souls trickle. Mm-hmm. In general, like what if they ditched it entirely? Like don't just like a little bit more with NPCs. Like NPCs are expensive. They have voice acting and stuff like that, but have, computers or something you like hack into, like change, maybe I think that segues into like the two things I want to say. One of which is hew a little bit less strongly to Dark Souls than this does. Like we talked about this in the first episode. I think that this is the most like out of the Souls like this is so just like, yeah, we're Souls. Like here's your Lord Soul moment. Here's your Anor Londo moment. Like this is a Souls ass Souls like. I think that the way that storytelling, doing the lore notes, feels almost like obligatory to being a Souls like. And I agree that like what they have is that there is actually pretty good. Maybe that light doesn't need to be hid under a bushel. Yeah. Like I kind of feel like in general, no one but From needs to do that.
Yeah.
Like it is okay for that to be From's signature thing. And I'd much rather have that be their thing than 4-phase mega bosses.
Yeah.
This kind of way of telling a story. But having the structure be a little bit different. Like you could do a little bit more traditional of a structure if you didn't have the skeleton of Dark Souls to hang on to. And that makes a lot of sense for kind of an early outing. Maybe abandon that. Yeah. Still do that. You could still do kind of a Soul-like in terms of gameplay and stuff, but maybe challenge some of the assumptions that come with being a Souls-like.
Yeah.
Not saying that it needs to be side-scrolling or first-person or anything. It can still be an over-the-shoulder, character action style game with the same Dark Souls pace and stuff, but just not hit quite as many Dark Souls markers.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily want to be like, this is the Anor Londo moment. this is the Lord Soul moment. I don't want to be able to necessarily put those things one-to-one onto it.
Yeah.
You know? And then I think the other thing I was going to say is that I would like to see them move to a setting that has more potential for visual interest. One of the weaknesses of this game in general, and it's not uniform when we alluded to it earlier, I think, is that maybe half of the areas are actually pretty bland. And I found almost, with only a couple of exceptions, most of which were bosses, almost every enemy is exceedingly bland.
Yeah.
Like does not have a good silhouette to read, does not look very interesting. It was hard to keep the enemies straight other than just looking at their weapons. They're not interesting to look at, to be around, even if they're interesting to fight. I think getting out of this kind of sci-fi milieu, because like they're not going to do a sequel. As we mentioned, the ending of this really does kind of close off that idea. Like I do not want to know the continuing adventures of these characters really. But moving out of like a Tron virtual scape into this, like still do gun souls, keep your basic things, you can iterate on it. But what if they were like FPS style guns? Like what if this is a supernatural World War II game? Or what if or what if this takes place in modern times, like in modern American cities? Like make it take place in 2020 instead of, dimensions away in the super far future.
Yeah.
Do something like that and give me like a better levels that don't run off my eyeballs, like they don't just bounce off my eyeballs, and enemies that don't just bounce off my eyeballs.
Yeah.
A little bit. I would love to see that. I think that will help with the lore hooks. And I mean, my big change was the thing that you said, Cole. I just don't want to repeat it. This is the secondary thing as far as like theming and location.
Yeah.
That I would love to see.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, we said it in the first episode, like it took a while for the aesthetic to warm, right? It just feels like by choosing this setting and by choosing, to make things look the way they did, they started at a deficit of interest and attention. When they didn't have to. It's a visual medium, and the visuals definitely play into the play. I didn't intentionally say the same word twice there, but sometimes that happens. They could definitely give themselves a leg up by having a better, by choosing their setting and their aesthetic, to kind of give them that asset from the start.
That stuff matters. Like it's one of the reasons why I can't get into Monster Hunter. Like, I just don't feel cool killing dinosaurs. Like the things you're fighting, the characters you're using, the weapons just don't look cool to me. And like, even if the wireframe, like even if there's a part of me that could get really into that game, I just don't care about killing these dinosaurs.
Yeah.
Give me pillars of skulls and demons any day of the week. Like I'm into it, but like, give me dinosaurs. I'm like, I don't know. Dinosaurs are friends. I don't want to kill dinosaurs. I love dinosaurs.
Yeah.
None of the dinosaurs in Monster Hunter are your friend. I can promise you.
No.
They're
Fuck
my
you,
friend.
Ragalos. I hate you.
Ragalos is my buddy. But just like what you're actually doing and interacting with and interfacing with like matters at least a little bit.
I think to add on to that, I don't know. I'm sure there's somebody that you can hire as a consultant to this, and I don't find this like a turn off in the game because it just rolls over me. Like I don't really care that much. But something that the Souls game that From Software does extremely well is name things. I mean, with the exception of Snakeball, right? Like the enlarged Snakeball. Like for the most part, they're pretty good at naming things. And a lot of the stuff here, like the silent Janissary or whatever. Like, and I don't know if that's because English aren't a lot of the game designers' first language, so maybe that's not just translating well, or if it's literally just picking like nouns that they thought sounded cool and it doesn't work for me and it might work for some other person. But having more impactful names for environments and for enemies and for and also like going in hand with my story thing, like surfacing that a little bit more so that I know about the silent Janissary before I get to the silent Janissary. Think about how often we hear about Nito before we actually get to find Nito, and so I think just like the bare minimum, I think I'd like to see some cool stuff being done there too.
Agreed. Totally agreed. Do we have any other kind of wrap up stuff for it before we move into other people's responses?
Not personally, yeah.
Yeah. So super cool game. If the Toadmen people ever listen to this, thanks for making it. Like it's I'm really excited to see what you guys do next.
Yes.
And
I saw the PR rep jump into the BSC Slack the other day, so they're around. They're looking.
Love it. Hopefully, you feel like this has been fair, because we really did enjoy the episode, or enjoy the game.
Yeah.
Let's read some of our community's responses to this.
Yeah. So I will get us started here with Bob, who says, you guys, Immortal Unchained is pretty good. How did this get panned and Lords of the Fallen got good reviews? I'm having fun playing Immortal Unchained. I never had fun playing Lords of the Fallen. What a way to bring back the show.
Thanks, Bob.
Yeah.
Take that, Lords of the Fallen. If Lords of the Fallen devs are listening, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. We will play the Surge.
I'm so sorry that you made that game.
Yep. I swear I will experience the Surge with an open mind at some point.
Yeah. When Lords of the Fallen came up a little bit earlier, we were talking about, like, how did that get the benefit of the doubt and how did people get burned by that? I think that it was timing. I think that Lords of the Fallen, like, specifically timing in terms of the console generation, like, that was weirdly like a kind of a killer app for the PS4 when that first came out, a little bit. Like, hey, here is a new Souls game and it's on a next generation of hardware. Like, just everybody drink up a little bit. I think that was just kind of like, well, what's the opposite of a hangover? Like that's what we had. Like when Lords of the Fallen like first came out.
Yeah. And I bought that game at full price. Like, I just wanted to play it. Like, I was just like, oh, cool. Like, I'm in the mood for Souls. I'm still super horny for Souls. Yeah. Let me check this out. I watched the Vadi video on it that was like, it's not bad. It's just clunky and slow paced. And I'm like, hey, I just played, Bloodborne or whatever, or like that's super fast. Like, I want something clunky and slow paced. I guess it was before Bloodborne, but I'd seen stuff about Bloodborne a little bit, and I like the clunky slow pace of Souls games. Yeah, and like I still think me giving Lords of the Fallen in like my mind like a C or C- is probably the highest anyone's ever thought of it. I still think that I'm probably the top of the Metacritic on that for not thinking it's absolutely a disaster, but it's not good. Yeah, so. I don't know. I will read Dave's comment. Dave says, Jeremy often asks his guest on Don't Give Up Skeleton I think we just answered this. What they'd like to see from Take on their next game next. I always thought Souls in space would be awesome, but feared there would be no good way to pull it off a shooting mechanic that works with the overall feel of a Soulsborne. After watching the credits roll on Unchained, my biggest takeaway is that it can be done and done very well. Sure, the teleporting grenade angels, finicky lock-on, and the malfunctionality. The multifunctionality. Multifunctionality of the X button caused more than a few moments of frustration, blasting off a full rifle assault clip into a boss's glowing back orb felt so good. Although I'd put the overall experience slightly behind the Surge, the game is more ambitious in spots, and I hope it sells enough to warrant another go-round from Toadman. Really impressive considering the studio size. Thanks, and welcome back, baby.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dave.
I don't think this is Dave, aka Simplus from Twitter, who was also kind of instrumental in drumming up a lot of hype for the game. But I just wanted to shout out Simplus because he compiled a ton of lore information, and he was one of the big reasons. Like, he was one of the people like that I was talking to quite a bit while I was playing it for the first time. So again, I don't think it's this Dave, and if it is, great. And if it's not, sorry, first Dave, second Dave is cooler than you. But yeah,
no, all Daves are
all Daves are cool.
We shouted out Sen Plus in the early episodes, and we used that document quite a bit. So
okay, cool. I thought so. I just wanted to make sure I said it once.
Yeah,
you want me to read Bruce's?
Sure.
Yeah, hit us up with Bruce.
Bruce says, first off, I've really enjoyed this game and want to commend Toadman for trying something new in the Souls-like genre. For a first try by a small team, I think they've done an admirable job. That being said, I feel like many of the enemy encounters were less than thoroughly considered, and many of the shortcuts were obviously added after the level was already complete and thus not super useful. There were multiple times when enemies spawned behind me and there were no effective cues to let me know the enemies were there. I almost never even used any of the shortcuts either. I also feel like the bosses were lacking a variety. I do hope that this team will be able to do a follow-up title in the same style, because I think they could definitely improve on it and make it great. Also, thank you so much for bringing back Bonfireside Chat. This has always been my favorite podcast, and while I understood why you discontinued it for a while. I couldn't be happier that you've brought it back. Keep up the great work, guys.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, all that stuff sounds reasonably fair. Like, I think that can definitely be a takeaway. Yeah, I'm not gonna take Bruce's experience away from him. I think the times that enemies spawned behind me maybe happened twice, and I always thought the shortcuts were really satisfying, even if I didn't use them a lot. So,
yeah, I didn't have exactly that experience either. Like the thing behind from behind is kind of a pain. I guess it's just how much it stands out to you.
Yeah.
You know, I also recognize that I played this game exceedingly slowly, like it just in terms of my pace crawling through the level. Like once I knew that teleporting snipers could be a thing, I really inch by inch this whole game. So like things coming behind me didn't end up being that big of a deal because I was moving very slowly and very rarely had to deal with multiple things at once. Yeah. So that could be a difference.
I watched a Duckfeed person stream a little bit. They were on the snipers, the teleporting snipers the first time I encountered them, and they were like, I'm dying over and over again. Like, you know, come watch me play this. And I watched them, and they were like running full tilt the entire time. And like it was like listening to a podcast on like 3x speed. It was just too much for me. I'm like, no, you need to slow the fuck down.
Yeah,
I don't know what's happening here. You're confusing me. Make it stop.
This is supposed to be football, not the 100-yard dash.
Yeah.
I apologize if I've made a version of this point before, but I will reiterate it if I did. So important thing about Dark Souls is that you know what killed you, right? And whenever you have range combat, there's a risk of running into a situation where something just kills you from off screen. And even when that happens in regular Dark Souls games, that is unsatisfying. Here, by going straight to gun-based combat with gun-based enemies, you increase the risk that happens, especially when they warp in behind you. Even though it didn't turn into that big of a problem for me, something that might, I think, reduce the likelihood of that catching somebody on the wrong side would be kind of the addition of a kill cam. Almost.
I love kill cams.
Yeah, we're like, okay, you died, and instead of immediately going to the load screen, it's like, all right, here's a replay, like from the perspective, like over the shoulder of the thing that killed you.
Did either one of you get the deal with it message?
Yes, I did.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So that's in the game. You just have to do it when you're carrying 30,000 fucking bits.
Yeah. I thought that I was invaded by a PvP person when that happened. Like, wait a minute. Is that possible for this? No, I got it. It was very funny. No, I just said it'd be cool if there was a kill cam. Just like give me more information, especially when you do have the risk of something getting you from out of nowhere.
I like
let me skip the kill cam.
Oh, totally. Yeah, just make it something instantly you go through. Like start loading the level or while it's happening.
Yeah.
But yeah, those are really, really useful. I hate not knowing what killed me.
Yeah.
Which to Souls' credit, it's not just that it's melee that it does it. It actually during the "you died" message, the camera does pull back, and whatever killed you is almost always right there.
Yeah.
Like it kind of starts milling about your corpse, which I really appreciate.
It's like, okay, what's next?
Yeah,
where are we going after?
You got any drink tickets in your pants? I need drink tickets.
Is this me?
This is you with Steven.
Yes. So Steven says via contact, I picked up this game based on your first episode about it. Aside from the first zone of Apexian, I haven't been back. I'm loving it. They've done a fantastic job balancing the distance between bonfires. And at one point, I ended up melee killing an enemy with no Estus left, only to discover the bonfire around the next corner. I also love the way they've done shortcuts. Dark Souls shortcuts already give a great dopamine rush when you unlock them, but at this point, I will often see them coming. The hidden paths that Immortal Unchained uses, on the other hand, make me feel like a genius when I discover them on my own and provide the same joy as regular shortcuts when I don't. Unrelatedly, I assume you guys have been bombarded about Daughters of Ash already, but I'd like to pile on that recommendation. It's a fantastic overhaul of Dark Souls, and it adds a bunch of new lore that I'd like to hear your thoughts on. I don't know that you would.
Yeah, Steven, I'm so sorry. This is not personal. I gave it a very solid effort with Daughters of Ash. They've actually patched it. So they've actually nerfed a bunch of areas in it.
Okay.
I think, so I'm going to give it another shot because I do not want anyone to tell me like, I mean, this is just a pet peeve of mine in general. I really don't want anyone to tell me that I didn't give this a good shot when I inevitably be like, this is dumb.
Yeah.
The lore stuff is interesting. Like, I totally agree with that. The making a whole game that is just, you thought a bonfire was here, but instead it's something that one hit kills you is not okay. Like, that's not good. That's not a fantastic overhaul, I don't think. I think that's like, really shitty design. Like, just, you know, really, really, really bad, poorly made design with stuff. Like, it's real weird. Like, Daughters of Ash is the biggest overhaul to Dark Souls. So, like, it does have this feeling of like, oh, that's different. And I think a lot of people are rounding up different to good because they're so familiar with Dark Souls. And there are a lot of things that legitimately are cool and kind of cooler than that. Like, cooler than the original version that I do like. But I played that for like 6 hours and gave up and then watched a Let's Play of the rest of it.
Yeah.
So I am sad and angry about Daughters of Ash right now. But might give it another chance.
The air was let out of my balloon. so many people said good things about it.
I was so excited about it. I was saving it for a treat. Like, I was like, I'm having a bad day today. I need a treat. And then sat down, and in the beginning, I'm like, oh, this is cool. And then immediately it's like, oh, you thought something good was here, but instead it's something that kills you. Gotcha. And I'm like, you know, you won, I guess, because I didn't know the thing. But you won in the same way, like someone I've never met, like walking up to me with a telegram and then kneeing me in the balls. Like, yes, they hit me in the balls.
Yeah.
Like, that happened. If
Nobody
that's
can
your
argue
victory
that.
condition, no one can argue that. That happened. If that's the victory condition for what it means to win to you, we are playing a different game.
Yeah.
I just wanted a telegram because you walked up to me with a telegram. I did not think you were going to kick me in the balls. If the idea is to create an environment where every single random person on the street might kick me in the balls, that is not my idea of fun or good world design. No god would create that. The clockmaker fallacy would be in full effect. Like, it just cannot be. So, yeah, it is. It bummed me out pretty good, actually. So,
what was the thing? Like you settled down for that as a treat, and when you realized, oh no, this treat's made of poison. Like what did you do instead as your backup treat? I forget. Was that the night where you watched Austin Powers?
I think that yes, that was the night I decided I brought in the International Man of Mystery to bail me out of my funk, baby. Like. Yeah, it was not a good scene. It was the kind of thing that the only thing that could save me is something I thought was uproariously funny when I was 19 years old. I had to time travel 20 years to get out of the Daughters of Ash hole. Like, maybe they've changed it.
I don't want to beat up Steven too bad too. But when you say that something adds a bunch of new lore to Dark Souls, like, I could not be less interested. Like, it just that specifically, like, despite, you know, challenge or remixes or whatever, but like if you're trying to tell, if you're actually adding stuff to that story, like I'm kind of not here for it. Like, I barely consider Dark Souls 3 canon, and much less like any new bullshit that you put into Dark Souls 1. So
it's pretty weird, man. Like so if somebody doesn't want to hear it, go forward in the podcast like 3 minutes to avoid the spoiler. Some of the stuff makes sense. Like when you make Dark Anne Orlando, it makes dark everywhere, and dark wraiths invade Anne Orlando and start killing the things. It's not they were all illusions. It's like there's an actual invasion. That's super cool.
Yep.
What's less cool is Sen is this legendary blacksmith lady that sounds like a self-insert character so much to me.
Yeah.
Like, it's just real weird to just take a character and just create it whole hog.
I like to keep my powder dry on calling something fan fiction as an insult. But I'm going to use that powder a little bit here.
Yeah, it's definitely a fan fiction kind of feel to it.
Yeah.
Some of the stuff is legitimately awesome that they do. Like when you go to New Londo Ruins, the whole top half of it is there's nothing there.
Yeah.
Because the evil's sealed, so why would there be ghosts?
Yeah.
You know? And then once you unseal it, it gives everything's there. And I'm like, that's fucking cool.
Yeah.
Like, that is a great idea that should have been in the main game. There shouldn't be a bonfire that insta-kills you after a boss. Like, From would know better than that.
Yeah.
Why don't you know better than that, Daughters of Ash guy? Like,
yeah. It's like going through and looking at a bullet pointed list. I just had just a terrible moment. Like, somebody is going to excerpt this and put it on YouTube about why we're terrible. So hey, fuck you. No, but just like looking through a bullet pointed list of the things that they changed, it was like it was almost like a 1-to-4 ratio of like, oh my gosh, that's great, yeah, cool, and then like 3 is like, why? It was like, yes, why, yes, why. It was, and like everything, and just to have everything emblazoned over with this kind of notion that like, we're basing this on the original documents and this is what it would be, and like that's extremely presumptuous, and it's like stealing a lot of valor that I don't know is necessarily coming your way.
Well, and valor that's very precious to me.
Yeah.
Like this is the preview of like, a portion of what that episode will be. I think that if we do that episode and the game is still not palatable in its new form, will be us talking about in general the philosophy behind it, that the things we liked and didn't like, and then you have my word, I will call out the extremely cool things that people have been tweeting at me that are really cool.
Yeah.
And then also have my, like, I don't even feel like I have a tight 5 on the fucking bonfire mimic. I just think that like in any universe that just misguided, I don't even understand how you have to explain why that's a bad idea. So I don't know. It happens right after another troll. It's just troll upon troll upon troll. Like, oh, Pinwheel can one-shot you now.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Well, he was easy before, and now it's different. I see. But then when you actually beat him, you die instantly, and you have to do that boss run again. And that boss run's 10 times as hard. Okay, like, you certainly kicked me in the nuts.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
No,
Kicker MD.
Nobody could argue that you kicked me in the nuts. Like it's.
Yep, it is established that my nuts have been kicked.
It is beyond
Good job.
Yeah.
I'm going to close this out here with Mike. Sorry about that little preview episode in the middle of this Immortal Unchained thing. Mike says via contact, I had a huge amount of fun with Immortal Unchained, and I think the evisceration it received at the hands of reviewers was largely unreasonable. Having said that, I can't help feeling that a perfect storm of events overpowered me fairly early in the game, and this did color my experience somewhat. I'd been relying largely on a sniper rifle. I'd given up on making progress in the charnels completely, and instead had tried beating my head against the enemies at Cinderwood Gate, which I found similarly punishing. It started when I received a high-level energy sniper, which I didn't have the stats for, along with the aspect that gives you 1 free bullet for killing an enemy. I made it to the first obelisk in the Cinderwoods, and it felt a bit too easy to farm there, and because their close proximity means that you spawn repeatedly next to your bits when you die, so there's little consequence. On realizing this, I popped several advanced scavenger packs and was able to level up 5 or 6 times with only minimal grinding. I'm not that into grinding at all, but it was handed to me on a plate. Suddenly, I had access to that ridiculous energy sniper, and I was tearing through the enemies in the charnels, and it helped by the free bullet aspect. The difference was like night and day, and the sense of being OP did characterize my playthrough right to the end of the game, with the exception of Aris, given that all my weapons were energy weapons, which he's resistant to. And I had to find and level a physical carbine before feeling confident in that fight. This sort of thing has to be a balance issue. I don't think my sudden jump in ability has anything to do with my skill. I don't, those balance things like that, I'm not always the wrong person to hear about them just because they don't bother me at all.
Yeah.
And I understand that's not necessarily fashionable, but I like that you can unbalance a game generally. I rankle against every difficulty curve has to be an absolutely flat one.
Yeah.
In kind of modern games. Like I actually like that you could do that.
Yeah. I have no firm opinion or reckon on how responsible a developer is for identifying and removing the possibility of degenerate play.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, there is an extremely boring thing that you can do to make yourself powerful. Is it to make yourself too powerful? Is it the developer's job to stop that, to remove that? Or is it just kind of on everybody to not decide to spend hours and hours doing the boring thing for an advantage? Right. Because to me as a player, the grinding and the farming is necessarily that's why I wouldn't do that. That is deterrent enough, right? So it's hard for me to put myself into the head of somebody who would do that. So yeah, I don't have a firm opinion on it,
If capacity to grind is a thing that is an unbalanced issue, like in general in games, like that just applies to a lot of games.
Yeah.
In a pretty extreme way. Like it has to be at least a little bit on the player to decide not to do the Dragon Quest, like playing this game is like climbing a mountain thing. But it is like, it is possible that you had a super weapon too. That might be a thing for sure.
Yeah. I had an extremely blessed run on my sniper run because the starting sniper rifle they give you is not super great. But literally the second enemy in Arden, like just dropped dropped a really great one. And all of a sudden I was one-shotting dudes from like that point of the game on.
Yeah.
And then, on my way to get the second, like, or really what's supposed to be like the first super good, sniper rifle that you can have access to that's guarded by two of the sword and shield dudes in Viridian. That's like it's in a chest behind them. On my way to get that gun, and I was killing the sword and shield guys, and one of them dropped the gun that was in the chest. So now I had two of the super good sniper gun. And then I also got the return one bullet on kill aspect pretty early. So like by the time I got to Iska, like to get the super sniper gun, I was pretty much set. And even though like you can one shot enemies, it's still challenging. And I'm kind of with you, Gary. Like, give me ways to break the game. Like, give me the red tearstone ring and things like that will let me, give me some risk reward payoffs and things like that. And hey, if I definitely don't think a developer should be responsible for you. I watched a video of someone the other day. It was on the Slack, and I'm not calling this dude out or anything, but they were grinding in that area in the Cinderwoods where an enemy can shoot at you on the obelisk, and you can literally shoot an enemy in the head, they die, and then he was hitting the button for the obelisk respawn, and then just doing that over and over again. And I'm like, man, like if you're just trying to get bits, like there's so many more fun ways to do that than just like, I know this is the most efficient, but like just because it's the fastest doesn't mean it's the best. Like it's just, that seems like so fucking boring. It would make me hate the game. Like I don't know why you would put yourself through that. And then, so yeah, like at a certain point, just have fun with the game that you're playing. Like, I don't really think it's up to developers to be like, oh no, you've been grinding too much.
It's like,
I know a lot of people like the despawning mechanic in Dark Souls 2, but that always made me feel like I was just terrible at the game. Like the first time I saw, one of the executioners on the way to the chariot was not there anymore. I was like, oh, I suck ass, and this is the way the game is like making it easy for me.
Right.
But so like it would have offended me personally, but I get it while it was doing it because but I just don't grind in video games, y'all. It's not fun unless you, I guess, like it. Which in that case, like maybe find a better video game to play. Yeah. I don't know, man. There's other stuff you could do besides the same thing over and over again.
I'm a person who exists in the world. I am incredibly angry at God because Soylent exists, and therefore all food sucks and is pointless.
Yeah, like, and so I have to drink that because it's the most efficient and cheap way to do it.
Right.
Like some people I think do genuinely enjoy grinding. Some people, though, I think do have just this weird, like, if I'm not doing this the most efficient way possible.
Yeah.
I think that just to go back to the comment real quick, the one thing I think that is the seed of what is a developer problem in this is that it's not so much grinding, it's that once getting that weapon, which is only 5 or 6 levels above, it was so unbalanced.
It put you above the curve permanently. Like that should have been.
And that can be a thing. Like I want to break the game. I definitely want to break the game. I think that there is something where it's just like, oh, you got something that should have kept you above the curve for a couple hours.
Yeah.
I hate the like Dragon Age modern BioWare, like, oh, I'm above the curve for 2 seconds.
Right.
Like my plus 4% frost damage instead of plus 1% frost damage epic loot. That stuff drives me nuts. But I think that just saying like, oh, this obviates the rest of the game.
Yeah.
Is the thing. I mean, honestly, like so many things that just Dark Souls is the lesson, right? Like Drake Sword.
Yep.
Drake Sword is extremely good. It's good up through Sens.
Yep.
And then it's no longer good. Like that's the perfect, it's hard to get. That is the perfect like game breaking, curve breaking example, I think.
Yeah. It's like breaking the curve by potentially doing something boring for a little bit.
Yeah. Or just fighting. You can also just chop it off. Like it's not boring. Like you can do the arrow thing, but like I've never successfully arrowed it off. I always have to tempt him to come down.
Oh, weird.
When I've gotten the Drake Sword.
Huh.
So that has been Immortal Unchained.
Yeah.
The game.
Jeremy,
thank you. Thank you for suggesting this. Thank you for guesting.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for everything.
Hey,
thank you for your height.
You're welcome, and thank you for talking about my height constantly. That makes me feel big. But thank you for having me, and thank you for discussing the game and everything. I met you guys through Bonfireside chat. That's how I became fans of the network. That's how I became friends with the two of you, and that's how I eventually started a podcast with one of you and guested on a bunch with the other ones. So like Bonfireside is always like one of my favorite podcasts. I know that's a weird thing to say while you're on a podcast, but having not only the opportunity to guest on it, but to also kind of maybe dictate the game was really, really fun. So I'm glad you like it, and I'm glad that everything worked out. So yay.
Yeah.
Love it. You are welcome, and thank you.
Thank you.
And thanks everybody listening. What are we doing next time, Cole?
We are talking about Dead Cells. It's going to be one episode, I believe, because of, Sekiro timing, right? But yeah, one up on Dead Cells.
Yep, a game that has some things in common with Dark Souls, not tons, but enough, and is interesting in its own right.
Yes.
So one episode on Dead Cells, then we'll be doing Sekiro, Daughters of Ash, either the one-off or the series, depending on how that ends up articulating, will probably come after that.
Yes.
And then after that, who knows?
Yeah, we got a lot.
On rewind season.
Second chance.
Let's do Dark Souls 1 again for the third time.
Yeah, we've remastered the podcast. So look forward to Lords of the Fallen.
Redemption.
The redemption arc. That how is that not the sequel to Lords of the Fallen?
Lords of the Fallen Rising.
Yeah, Rising. Lords of the Fallen Rising. Risen. Lords of the Fallen Risen. Jeremy, where can people find your podcasts?
The best place is probably on Twitter at JG Greer. I do a podcast called Don't Give Up Skeleton, where I interview people about their experience with the Souls games. I also do a podcast called Days of Future Cast. Me and Gary do it. We talk about how horny She-Hulk is. So, jump into a recent episode if you're feeling intimidated by that. So come listen to us talk about how horny She-Hulk is. It's really fucking crazy, y'all. And then I do a podcast called Monster of the Week, which is about the TV show Supernatural. That show has its own like little miniature network, and we do a bunch of different shows. We cover the dreaded anime. We've covered some Witcher books. We're doing all kinds of weird shit over there. That's monsteroftheweek.cool. So go check all that out.
Nice.
All recommended.
Yeah,
definitely do. And support those on Patreon.
Yes.
So, and we will see you in 2 weeks' time. Until next time, Umbasa.
And we all pray that we will have far more soon.
Awesome.
I've been hanging on to this for a while, but you guys know where Tailspin is located? Like in this, like, because I looked it up when we got on the tangent. It's in a fictional city called Camp Suzette, and there's like somebody spent some time on Camp Suzette. Like their year-round climate is balmy and pleasant, although temperatures become noticeably cooler in winter. Due to Camp Suzette's location in the mid-tropics, the area experiences extremely mild winters, causing frequent rainstorms instead of snowfall during the winter months. What the fuck, internet? What is wrong with you?
The primary export
from the source book for people playing the Tailspin tabletop RPG. Yeah. Good night.
This is just like that was just like one section. Like people go fucking deep into this thing. It is ridiculous.
It is considered for an Emmy.
Huh.
Oh, man. It won for an episode called Plunder and Lightning, which has a Wikipedia entry that's like 6,000 words long. What happened
Fetishes.
while we were recording?
Gary, you know what we got to do. I know it's not Marvel, but you know what we have to do.
Oh, goodness.